WHCS Channel 29 presents the VHSCA All Sports Clinic, the East-West All-Star Football Game from Lynchburg, Virginia at City Stadium. Good evening, everybody. I'm Tim Cole along with Bob Hintz and A.G. Womble, and we are here at City Stadium in Lynchburg, and we are here on a very hot, humid night, Bob. It's not football weather.
Well, I tell you, Tim, we got the sun in our eyes and we got a little bit of a breeze, but it definitely is not football weather. But this is something that we didn't have any idea that we'd get a chance to do, is the All-Star football game. We got to see quite a few of these ball players all year long from the different regions, as Hampton went all the way to the state this year, and it gives us a chance to see some good ball players from not only the group AAA, but also the group A and AA. So this is going to be a good game. How much you can teach the kids in 4 days or 5 days practice is tough, Tim.
Okay, listen, we're going to go down to the field right now. A.G. Womble has Coach Danny Mitchell of Hampton High School.
Football this week. Just tell us a little bit about the clinics and the All-Star games and what all is involved this week.
Well, the clinic has been going on for a long time, and it's gone from like 50 members to the largest membership in the United States. We have the largest membership of any state in the United States. And what we do is we bring in basketball players, football players, girls basketball players, and baseball players, and it's picked by a regional committee, and we think we've got the best 68 football players in the state of Virginia, seniors. And we come up here, we've been here for 10 days, and we practice for 8 days, 9 days, and then we play a football game.
Okay, now the same thing I believe is going on with basketball, baseball, etc.
Right, the basketball teams come in for a shorter period of time, like maybe 4 days, and they played Monday night, and we had a sellout crowd there. Then last night we had a baseball game, and we had well over 3,000 people for that.
What are some of your responsibilities as director of football?
Well, as director of football, it's mainly just to make sure that the buses are where they need to be for practice. We practice twice a day. We take the kids to a movie. We take them to the pool. We make sure the coaches get what they need, and then we make sure the game goes off without any hitches.
And I think Coach Smith, he was over all the All-Star games.
Coach is the All-Star coordinator, and then he has 4 directors. He has a director for girls basketball, baseball, and so on. Yeah.
Well, Danny, you guys are doing a great job.
Well, we really enjoy being here, and we're glad Channel 29 is going to show the rest of the state, what goes on up here.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you,
Danny Mitchell.
All right, A.G., as you can see on the screen, the captains representing the East and West squads are meeting at the center of the field for the toss of the coin. The West team will be on this side of the field, the sunny side of the field, I guess is the saying. They will be in the blue with the red numerals and white jerseys. And, of course, the East squad will be in the white pants, red jerseys, and white numerals. And you see the officials, we are, I'm sorry, unfortunately, unable to give you the names of the officials for tonight's ball game. Bob, one of the things that has come to my mind as we watch, we have several players, which we'll get to in a moment or two, that the fans in the Peninsula area are, of course, most familiar with. Some of the players from Hampton, Kecoughtan, Phoebus,
Tab.
Representative Tab is here. One of the things that you have to wonder about is these fellas haven't played competitively football for about 5 months. And you have to wonder how difficult it will be for them to, A, play up to par when they're not in training day in and day out, and secondly, in a very oppressive heat situation.
Well, we got not only that, Tim, but they're not in the condition. You know that their timing has got to be off, so I'm assuming, I didn't know they practiced 9 days, as Danny was telling us, and they're practicing twice a day, so they are getting some of the timing down, but you know that the offense is going to be pretty simple, pretty basic offensive plays, and defense is not going to do anything spectacular or off the wall. It's going to be pretty basic football. So what you've got out here are the best 68 athletes, graduated seniors from the schools in the state of Virginia, and we're really looking forward to a great game. And it looks like the East squad will kick off, Tim, and they will be kicking off from the left going to the right, and they will have what little bit of sun is coming down at an angle in their eyes on defense and offense for the first quarter.
The lights are on here at City Stadium. As of this time, they're not really necessary. We hopefully will be in a dark situation, so the lights will be able to pick up the yard markers on the fields a little bit easier as we go along. One of the greatest concerns, of course, has to be on the part of the players and the coaches. There you see the long shadows of the players, and the kickoff man there for the East squad will be Dietrich Downing from Arcadia High School. I'll get to my point in just a minute. I guess my point was that I have to be concerned about injuries. When you're not in top condition, you have to be concerned. Of course, football being the high contact sport that it is. Up the middle on the return, across the 20, out actually across the 30 to about the 33. William Wood of Henrico High School was the East player returning the kickoff. They've marked it at the 35-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 for the West squad.
Well, we didn't get any lineups, Tim, so what we're going to have to do is just try to go with it as we can and pick them up as they're playing. I'm trying to pick up the quarterback right now for the East team. I'm going to check that for the West team. And that's number 10.
That would be Eric Smith.
And Tim, that was an excellent timing pattern. And if you remember us talking to one of the coaches earlier, they must pass the ball 20% of the time. So they can't just run it, run. They do have to pass 20% of the time. And that was an excellent pass on a timing pattern on the flat.
Eric Wheeler, number 15 of Perry McClure High School, was the recipient of that pass. And it was a pickup of almost 8 yards. It's 2nd down and 2. The ball at the 43-yard line. Quarterback is Eric Smith of Abington High School. Fakes and looks again, wants to pass, has a man open, and then throws the ball way away from the intended receiver. Obviously a miscommunication.
That's exactly what it was, Tim. The young man made his cut and went on a down and a cross pattern, and the quarterback was looking for him on a down and out pattern, on a flag pattern. This young man, this Eric Smith, who is the quarterback for the West squad, is a cousin to Mike Smith, the head coach of the East team. So Mike's got a little mixed emotion. He wants to see the young man do well since he is a relative, but he also wants to win the game.
3rd down and about 2 for the West squad. We'll give you a little more about the backfield as we get ourselves more accustomed to it.
Well, the defense is a 5-3, and they just popped him right up the center, but we do have a flag, which could be a holding situation, Tim. I'm not sure.
The gain is more than enough for a 1st down, but the penalty is going to be, well, the penalty is going to be against the East squad. At least that is the initial indication. And of course, with that in mind, unless it's a major penalty, we'll see the play stand. The officials are discussing the situation to see which would be most advantageous.
Well,
they're going to give the penalty.
It may have been as the play culminated, and he gets a 15-yard on top of everything else.
Here we see the replay, and we can't really determine what the penalty was at that point, but there was a penalty nonetheless. It was a face mask call against the East squad. So that brings the ball all the way down now to the 33-yard line, and it's 1st down for the West squad deep in East territory.
The East just look like they're in a 4-4, which is basically what Charlie Hovis does over there at Tab.
Smith fakes, has time, now gets pressure, and is dropped in the backfield by number 75, Dennis Parker of John Marshall High School. Big 6'4", 250-pound tackle, and he got to Smith as Smith looked downfield, but none of his receivers were open. And Davis did a good job, or check that, Parker did a good job of stopping him for the loss.
Well, Tim, it was an excellent job on the offensive line. They held him out, and there was some good fakes in the backfield, but number 75, Parker, just overpowered his blocker and got back there before the quarterback, Smith, could set up.
So it's a loss of 7. It's 2nd down and 17. 10.5 minutes to go in the 1st quarter. No score from Lynchburg, Virginia. Tim Cole, Bob Hintz, and A.G. Womble from City Stadium. Again, looking to pass, has time, got a man open, he passes, it's completed. No, they say incomplete. Looked like the ball was held long enough as Todd Paulo, number 20, was on the receiving end of that pass, but he was hit hard and coughed it up.
William Franklin, number 32, is the defensive back out of Stewart's draft, and he hit him. That was perfect timing, Tim. He had to go high for the ball. He had the ball in his hands as he was getting hit. I was like you. I thought he held it long enough that it could have been a fumble, but the official was right on the play and called incomplete.
So the clock stops. 3rd down and 17 now. Running play, the ball is knocked loose. In fact, it is thrown way back for a loss, and we'll see who recovered the ball. I believe the West squad did recover it. That ball was popped loose and flew 15 or 20 yards in the air and was recovered by the West squad, but a substantial loss back to the East 49-yard line, and it'll be 4th down, and the yardage to go about 28 for the first.
Well, I just want to give a little background on this Eric Smith the next time the West gets the ball, Tim. He's got some amazing statistics.
Left-footed kicker is Mark Poindexter. Gets the kick, and it's fielded, juggled momentarily, and then finally down at about the 18-yard line. The ball carrier for the East squad is William Wood, number 22 of Henrico.
He had no blockers over there, Tim. He turned that corner, and there was about 5 blue pant defenders looking right at him, and he ducked his head and picked up about 3 or 4 yards.
You're looking at the East stands, or at least you were momentarily. So the East squad now will take over. Ball is marked at their 18-yard line.
And number 11 quarterback Eric Williams is a young man that we've seen from Kecoughtan High School. Had an excellent year at Kecoughtan.
Scott Mahoney gets the call from Mills Godwin High School in the middle of the line for a couple of tough yards. Eric Williams, of course, is, as you mentioned, Bob, a graduated senior from Kecoughtan. A couple of other Peninsula representatives, David Brown, number 44, who's just now coming out of the ball game for the East squad, is here, of course. From Hampton, Weymouth Williams, number 60, and Sherwood Jones, number 70, and P.D. Wingfield, number 80, will be playing for the Phantoms of Phoebus, or at least representing the Phantoms of Phoebus. 2nd down and 8. Williams on the keeper, spins away from one tackler, and then he is knocked down hard as he gets to the 25-yard line.
Well, he was an exciting runner, and remember when Hampton played Kecoughtan twice, once during the regular season, once in the playoffs, and that was one thing that scared him every time he carried the ball and kept it. And in fact, if you talk to the Hampton coaches, they'll tell you that Kecoughtan was a tougher team than T.C. Williams was when they played, when Hampton played in the state championship, Tim. So that says a lot for the Peninsula football, because had there been another bracket, it would have been an all-Peninsula District final, I'm sure.
David Brown of Phoebus in the backfield. Williams looks and wants to throw. Just as he throws, he is hit hard by 72, Rodney Davis, who we were told before the game is someone to watch. One of the coaches, his coach from Albemarle High School, told us, watch out for Davis. He's a little guy, about 340 pounds. And
well, they got him listed at 305, Tim, but that sucker was through there and did an excellent job. Eric had no chance to even hardly cock his hand to throw that ball.
He's lucky he wasn't called for a fumble. So with his arm in motion, the fumble, or rather the incomplete pass, is called. We've got flags down as a good high kick is going to be fielded at the 42. The West squad will go from there as he is down immediately. We have flags down, however.
That was David Brown, number 44. David Brown from Phoebus High School that was the tackler. There's illegal procedure that I don't think there was enough players on the field, Tim, and you have to have 7 on the line of scrimmage, and that may have been what was called against the East squad.
Well, they're discussing the play with the East captain, so it might have been against the West. We'll have to wait and see.
But I think what they're doing is they're talking to find out where the ball is going to be spotted, and they may just leave it where it is, Tim. That's excellent field position for the West squad.
As you mentioned, the referee now talking with James Fisher of Martinsville High School. Illegal procedure is the call against the East, and we're going to see this on the replay now. Here you see, count the players, get the flags going. The kick is a good one.
There was just not enough men on the line of scrimmage, Tim.
There you see David Brown doing his job as he tackled the would-be returner on a good play. All right, the West squad slant off the right side as we are looking at a different quarterback for this series of downs. It's Gordon Wheeler, number 11, is in there from Perry McClure High School, 6 foot, 205 pounder. There you're looking at the east sideline. Some of the coaches wearing shorts, something you and I should have considered more.
Well,
more
you're the only
seriously.
one that brought any shorts. I wasn't even smart enough to bring any shorts.
Gain of 1, second down and 9. 7:13 to go in the first quarter. And on the sack, they're going to blow the ball dead, even though the East is hoping to recover a fumble. But in fact, the ball had been blown dead after a substantial loss back to the 15-yard line.
Well, Tim, this goes to show you what happens when you get young men that have laid off for a while. It's easier to work with the defense than it is with the offense. And you'll see this even in the pros, that the defense is really way ahead of the offense till about 3 or 4 games under their belt. And both teams' defenses are showing a whole lot of a lot more consistency right now.
Here you're going to see the play. In very quickly was number 50 for the East, and that would be Emmanuel Moss of Highland Springs. Flag down, ball is picked off on the far side of the field at the 35-yard line.
And that's Michael Blakely out of Madison County that intercepted that ball. It was just overthrown, but that's a big break for the East squad because that's excellent field position. That the best they had before was out at about the 25, 26-yard line.
As I mentioned, however, there is a flag on the field, so if it's against the East, that'll negate the interception, but we'll have to see.
Well, in the area where it was thrown, Tim, that it looks like it probably was offensive holding or something. And it definitely will be declined, and that's exactly what the call is. As you can see, the official there, number 60, he should be coming in our area where he's not blocked out. He's not even going to show it over here. It doesn't look yet.
No, they haven't been gracing us with the...
There they come. There he is.
Okay. Okay, so you called it right. A holding call against the West is declined, and the East will have the ball at the West 30-yard line. And the quarterback is, again, going to be Eric Williams. Unlike the West squad, who changed quarterbacks on the second possession, the East squad will go with Eric Williams.
Well, if you remember that Anthony Parrish, the number 10, who was also a quarterback, had his knee taped up and was not even suited out, Tim, at the introductions.
Williams fakes the handoff and carries himself for about 3. 5:45 remains here in the first quarter. We have no score. This is the 42nd VHSL coaching clinic all-star football game. The West squad versus the East squad. The West has been victorious 5 of the last 6 years in this classic.
Well, I don't know if the fans, because there's a good shot of the instant replay at Eric keeping the ball.
2nd and 7. Williams puts it up, has a man open. He is tripped up. They'll say incidental contact, but a flag is also down. Not about, I guess about 5 yards off the line of scrimmage. So we'll have to see if there was a hold, perhaps.
Well, either that, if he goes out of bounds, Tim, he's not an eligible receiver. He cannot come back in unless he was knocked out of bounds, but it looks like it's against the East. That was a time and play pattern, and had he just kept running, he would have got the ball, but he slowed down. And again, it's hard to set up a timing pattern between a quarterback and a receiver that have only known each other for 9 practices, or 9 days, and hopefully 18 practices.
So the call is ineligible receiver downfield. As you might expect in an all-star game, you're going to have these mistakes from not playing with each other often enough and people playing positions they might not be totally familiar with.
And there you can see it as it's coming back up. But Tim, that's also a loss of down. So now it is 3rd down instead of 2nd and whatever. It's now 3rd and 11.
So back to the live action. Williams drops back, gives off. That's Eric Bates of James Monroe High School getting the call.
I do not know who their field goal kickers are, Tim, but if where the ball is spotted, that would be about a 43, 44-yarder. And I assume what they're going to do is just go ahead and go for it. Got 4:41 left in the first quarter and 8 yards to go. And my guess would it would be a pass play or possibly even a screen.
Backfield has, there you saw the very tail end of that last play. Williams straight back to pass, gets pressure, and then he's taken down. So the West defensive squad does a good job, led in the middle there by number 55, Homer Pack.
And not only that, Tim, but I looked downfield and there were 2 offensive receivers and 5 defenders down there. So there was nobody open. And that was a real smart play.
We get our director to come down a little bit on his shot there. We can pick up big number 72 coming to the West sidelines here. We might be able to get Scotty Bowers, who's doing his usual capable job, get a shot of this young man. This man has not missed a lot of meals at the training table. 35-yard line is the point of origin. 4:16 left here in the first quarter. Pitch back, ball on the Dipsy Doodle play, back to the quarterback, and he's snowed under on a good defensive effort again by the East squad.
There's only one I'm sorry, Tim, there's only one offensive pass catcher in the secondary. But let me tell you a little about this Eric Smith. He threw for over 2,444 yards, had 23 touchdowns, and a 64.8% completion rate. He completed 148 of 228 passes. It's no doubt that this is a fine young athlete here, and I know Mike Smith is real proud of his shirt-tail cousin.
There you see number 50 or 72 rather that I was mentioning. That's Rodney Davis, the highly touted ball player from Albemarle.
That was
you know, as big as he is, he's quick. I've watched him a couple of times out there, and he's no slow man.
No, he isn't. That was number 40, Lydell Scott, running the ball that time on a handoff from Smith, Tim, that didn't pick up a whole lot of yardage, but they've got a long way to go. That's third and about 18, I guess it is.
Boy, that's a name we've heard before, Lydell Scott. T.C. Williams, we watched him play for 4 years up there against Hampton last year. He was most instrumental in T.C. Williams' victory over the Hampton Crabbers for the state championship. Third down and 17 for the West squad. Again, Smith wants to pass, has time, throws it a little long.
Well, he had to overthrow that time because Marcus Mines, the defensive back from Caroline, was in the short zone, and he had to drop it over him and into the hands, and there was just not enough room to do that. So that brings up a punting situation. And we have 22, 30, and 88 back for the East. So they've got plenty of people back there to get that. That's Petey Whitfield, number 80, is the young man in the center. And we got to see him a lot this year with Coach Bill D over there at Phoebus High School in Hampton. So I'm sorry, that's the 88. That's not Petey, that's Petey's 80. I'm sorry, that's Gary Fitzgerald, number 88, Tim.
Mark Poindexter is in deep punt formation, standing between the 15 and the 10. He gets the angled kick away. It's a short one. Coming to the near sidelines, takes a west bounce, and then is picked up by the East at the 47-yard line. Not much happening after that.
Well, I know he was hoping that thing would bounce out of bounds or bounce the other way, but he was not going to let it roll clear down to the 30, and that was a dangerous thing that he did, but you have to have good hands, and he had a lot of confidence in himself to get that ball off that bounce.
Terrence Graves of Maury High School was the ball receiver, and they've set it up now right between the 46 and 47-yard line. 3 minutes to go here in the first quarter, and we have no score. Sun setting on the beautiful campus there of what is that, Jerry Falwell University?
Yeah, Liberty College. And Tim, I'm glad to see the sun going down because it means it's getting a little bit cooler. And I'm sure that the fans and the ball players are too.
Back to the live action. This is Williams trying to get away from a would-be tackler. He does so. Throws a little long, and it's intercepted. So making the interception for the West squad was Mark Poindexter, who to this point had been doing the punting. And now he's on the receiving end of Eric Williams' errant pass. And the West squad will take it over.
Well, Tim, they don't have very good field position. Looks like they're about on the 10-yard line. So that's not real good field position. But any time that you have a turnover, sometimes that can fire up the offense when they come back out there and they can get some things going. That was an excellent pass that Eric threw on the run. His receiver slowed down to see if he needed to come back, and had he kept right on running, he might have been able to get that. But that was an excellent interception.
They've marked the ball at the 11. Inside handoff. Ball carrier for the West squad, 33, is James Fisher of Martinsville High School.
We got Gordon Wheeler back in there, quarterback again, Tim. They obviously with the there's that word again. But it looks like with the Fauquier High School football coach, who was the head coach here on the West squad, is rotating each series with his two quarterbacks. He wants to make sure both of them get equal playing time.
Here you see the play. Gain of a couple of yards for the West. Quick pitch out to the near side. Nice move. And a good open field tackle.
Number 64 for the West, Tim. Bryant Bowden did an excellent job of kicking out the defender to open up that slot for the young man to go through to pick up a first down.
Monty George, the ball carrier for the West. And it's a first down, something there haven't been a great number of.
Well, the only ones that's gotten first down so far on the play has been the West squad.
Ball is marked at the 28-yard, check that 23-yard line. Tripped up as he crosses the line of scrimmage is again James Fisher. In there for the East squad to trip him up was number 60, Weymouth Williams of Hampton High School.
And had he not got him, right behind him was number 70, Sherwood Jones, which was waiting for him.
Wouldn't you like to have a college team with Weymouth Williams and Sherwood Jones on the same team?
I'll tell you, they have played 4 years at Hampton, starters for 4 years. They're both excellent athletes.
No question about that. Second down and 7, a gain of 3. Pitch out to the right side. A little bit of running room there. Carrying the ball for the West squad was Eric Bates of James Monroe High School.
Well, they have found some weakness in that 4-4, and I don't know exactly what it is. Looks like they're kicking the wide defender out and cutting inside of him, and they're picking up pretty good yardage. They've got a third down and 2 with about 14 seconds to go in the first quarter.
We have some interesting interviews we're going to be interspersing throughout the ball game. Here you see a replay of that last play, as it looks like we'll might barely get this play off before well, they do, just at the end of the first quarter, and it's a good play. That's Scott. Lydell Scott showing why he was so all-important for the T.C. Williams state championship team. And that's going to conclude the first quarter. And the ball will be marked at the 44-yard line when we come back. I might remind our fans we're playing 12-minute quarters here. There you see the scoreboard. All right, we have concluded the first quarter, and now we're going to go to a most interesting interview with Coach Johnny Palmer, a former Hampton High School coach, and Mike Smith, the present high school coach at Hampton High School.
Johnny, we don't get to see you too often, but we know that Mike was your assistant for about 5 or 6 years. Tell us a little bit about how he was as an assistant coach.
He was the best assistant I ever had. He's about the only one we had down in Hampton. We kind of did it all. We had a few people that helped us, but Mike was just great. In fact, when he first came to me, I thought, well, I got to teach this guy something, and before it was over with, he's teaching me.
All right, what'd you learn from this man, Mike?
Everything we do. You know, I think probably the most important thing I learned from Coach was get good assistants and let him coach. You know, you tell him what you want to do and let him coach. And he gave me that opportunity to do the things, you know, on my own. And it's just a great working relationship, you know, a great friendship and a great coach relationship. And I missed him terribly since he's been gone.
Coach, you won the big one in '69, and of course since then Mike has been successful 6 times. Tell us a little bit about that '69 season.
Well, it was a great team. Hell, we didn't have to do much coaching. they did it all. But Mike was the brains behind everything. I was just lucky.
Okay. What do you think about that season, Mike?
Well, I think probably one of the best football teams, you know, that's been there. We had some great kids, and Coach and I, you know, I think it's just Coach and I, maybe, and Joe Beck. Bless his heart, he's dead now, but Coach and he had the backs, and I had the line, and we had some great kids like Teddy Powell and Blue Ford and some of those guys. And I think Billy O'Brien got on TV the year before and said that Peninsula was 10 years behind football on that side. And so we worked a little harder that summer.
Handoff up the middle for big James Fisher, a 6-foot-tall, 200-pounder from Martinsville High School. Coughed it up just after he hit the ground, but they'll say that there was no fumble, or in fact there was. He recovered his own fumble. We got an injured player down.
That looks like I'm sorry, that's Brian Hunt, number 55 on the East squad, and they trapped him, Tim, and they went right up the middle, and that was a hole that was just unbelievable. Went through. I want to get back. I didn't get to see that interview, but I do know basically what went on. When Johnny Palmer was the head coach at Hampton High School, very, very successful over there, his assistant coach was Mike Smith. And he gives a lot of credit to Mike, as you heard on the interview, and I'm looking forward to seeing that interview myself.
Well, wasn't Johnny Palmer the head coach at EC Glass for a long time?
Right, after he left Hampton, he went to EC Glass.
Here we're going to see the replay.
This is one of the earlier plays, Tim. Now here's the one where they trap.
Okay.
And they trap right there and open up a large hole for that young man to go through. And you can see there was just all kinds of daylight. Once he broke through with a 4-4, if you've got your linebackers up real close in a 4-4 and you pop a runner through,
there you saw the ball come loose. And the whistle apparently had not blown. That was a good job on our slow-mo. And unfortunately, we're going to be watching Brian Hunt leave the field with assistance.
And that's Danny Mitchell is helping him out there in the black the shirt.
I wonder if we might get a replay of that replay, if we could ask Dr. Sam to run that by one more time while we might have a moment here. If he can, I'd just kind of like to see, we might be able to pick up exactly where that injury occurred.
Well, maybe we'll catch it later on, Tim. We got the boys come back up to the line of scrimmage.
Got a first down and 10, the ball in East territory at the 42-yard line. There you see a good close-up of the offensive line. Hand off left side, getting heavy pressure, and going down is number 24. That's Eric, not Eric Bates, but rather Dana Palmer. Okay, we're going to see if we can't get that replay.
That was Ellis White, number 41, making that tackle.
Okay, that was the replay. If we can back that up and possibly pick up where, well, I guess we won't be able to.
Well, Tim, I tell you, this is the first time working with this instant replay in slow motion of our own, and it looks like we're doing a good job. Our crew is doing an excellent job with it.
It's going to be a super innovation to our broadcast, and of course we'll have lots of high school sports for you this coming fall. Nice pass completion at the 41-yard line. The ball carrier, or rather the receiver, is Eric Wheeler, and Gordon Wheeler, no relation that I'm aware of anyway.
I was going to say. And there that is, that play that you were just talking about.
Well, wait a minute now, you know, I might have been premature on that. They both went to the same high school. Unbeknownst to me, we're fairly new at the, here we go see, there's that replay again. They're both, Gordon Wheeler and Eric Wheeler both went to Perry McClure High School, so I said no relationship, maybe they are.
Well, not only that, but they have certainly have played together before, which really helps.
Well, anytime you have a battery that can have played before, you're absolutely right. That's got to be a big asset. Pitch out. Ooh, a hard knockout there as some people are sticking some people, and the ball carrier was Monty George, number 22, and as he made that turn, he ran into a brick wall.
Well, it brings up a fourth down, Tim, and looks like the West is calling timeout. They want to get out there and talk about it, so we got a timeout here on the field. And I know what the coach wants to confer with his quarterback is Gordon Wheeler has done an excellent job of bringing this ball club down, because they started at the 10 and they're across the 50 to 40 to about, what is that, the 37. So that's about 47 yards they've already picked up. So they've got a nice drive going.
Brian Bowden, number 64 for the West squad, has hobbled off the field. He seems to have suffered an injury to his left calf. it is entirely possible that he could have a cramp. I understand that in hot weather like this, it's not unusual for players to cramp up.
Oh, no, Tim, that's a very strong possibility, especially with the humidity as high as it is. You and I are standing up here, and
Can you
we're
imagine
sweating.
being in full garb?
Don't even want to think about it.
I'd be sweating if I was just laying down out there, let alone moving around and being athletic. Of course, I'm only 27. Let's see. Well, they're a lot younger than I am.
20 what?
Okay, we're going to have another instant replay.
Real good Norview team, but a much better team is going to be 32-7. Opposed as Kickertown as
There you see that hit I was talking about. Number 30 for the East was fired up. That's Terrence Graves, and he was pumped up after he met and collided with the ball carrier.
Well, anytime you meet somebody and you knock him backwards a little bit, you got to feel pretty good. He squared up, got his shoulder square on the hit. Now we got a 4th down, and it looks like about 5 yards, Tim.
What would you do, Bob? What would your call
At
be?
this point, they have had excellent luck in that quick pitch. So I don't know. I look for the quick pitch or maybe even a trap up the center. And they're going to pass.
Well, they fake that trap, and then they pass for a loss, as there quickly to defend for the East squad is 41 Ellis White, and a loss on the play back to the 40-yard line. So the West squad's strategy doesn't work.
Well, that was a throwback, Tim, but the referee or the umpire on this side said that it was a non-completed pass. So the ball is going to go back. Wait a second. I don't know where they're spotting the ball. They're spotting it up here on the 40. That's not at all where the ball was caught, but that's a break for the East squad, and I'm sure they're not going to complain.
Let's see if we can catch it on the replay.
You see, he does 2 fakes into the line, and then he rolls to the left, and then he's going to throw back to the right. And as he does, the young man that catches the ball is dropped immediately at the 35.
Saw him reach back and grab that ball. It looks like he never did have control, so that's a good call by the officials.
But
Back
then
to
they
the live
spotted
action.
the ball at the 40, Tim, so that's what I don't understand.
Back to the live action. The ball carrier for the East squad is Scott Mahoney of Mills Godwin. And he picks up some pretty decent yardage.
And I see number 72, this Rodney Davis, is trotted back, lumbered back onto the field.
9:15 to go in this scoreless first half. Tim Cole, Bob Hintz, and A.G. Womble, who will have some interesting interviews for us throughout the game. Eric Williams on the delay handoff, looking for some room, and the West squad pursuit is going to get there and finally, and I say finally, drag down the ball carrier for the East squad. He just was not going to go down without a battle.
Well, and that really hurt him, Tim, because he lost yardage. He had gained about 4 yards, and now the ball is back to the line of scrimmage. So he got about 4 yards, then tried to go laterally and was throwing backwards.
All right, here we go. Let's watch it on the replay.
You see how fast
he was that fast.
But see, he's going backwards, Tim. He's running clear back, and that's not what you want him to do.
He's a whirling dervish. That boy just wasn't about to be tackled.
Well, he said, you're going to tackle me, you're going to have to get my feet. And, of course, that's what your coaches try to tell these kids. You don't hit them high. These young men are getting so strong in the chest and everything that you got to hit them around the feet. You'll bounce off of them. You hit them in the shoulders.
Eric Williams straight back. Got a man open. It's tipped. Oh, what an effort on the part of the intended receiver. A super effort on the part of Garrick Fitzgerald of John Marshall High School.
He did an excellent job of concentrating on that ball, Tim. I hope we get that on replay. That was just an excellent job.
All right, I think we're going to have it. He really stayed with the ball because the defender actually tipped the ball, and in his efforts to catch it, Garrick Fitzgerald, just as you said, maintained his concentration and watched that ball all the way onto the tips of his fingers, but he just couldn't quite hold on to it.
Well, they were getting ready for the punt.
Dietrich Downing gets a high short kick. Takes a East squad roll, however, as he gets almost as much yardage after it hits the ground as he did in the air. And it comes all the way down to about the 25-yard line.
Yeah, he got about 20, 25 yards on the bounce, Tim. I don't think he got that much in the on the actual kick itself.
A little more than 8.5 minutes to go in the first half. The East squad hoping to snap a losing streak here. They've lost 5 of the last 6 games to the West squad.
Well, if AG gets a chance to get out there and look at and talk with Danny, I want to know what happens if there is a scoreless tie. Do they go to a tiebreaker like they did in the playoffs or not? Or if they just end up with a 0-0 tie?
So the West squad takes over.
And we got Eric Smith back at quarterback again for the West squad.
Bethel Bruins and the 0-2 Kecoughtan Warriors.
Some of these boys have met each other on numerous occasions in games of greater importance than this. And I'm sure there's, I was telling you, there doesn't seem to be any animosity towards these guys, but I'm sure there's a few fellas out there making up for some of the frustrations of losing during the regular season. You're looking at one of the West squad players. We're going to replay. Here we go. That's just the tail end of that last play. Weymouth Williams in the middle of that, number 60 for the East squad.
And there's that quick pitch again. It looks like the East is starting to defend that a little bit better, Tim.
They were waiting on that play, as over there to defend was 33 Scott Wingfield of Central Lunenburg High School.
But Tim, that shows you what caliber of athletes we got out here, because the coaches made a couple adjustments for the defensive unit while they were on the sideline, and they come back out, they can't run a play that they were very successful with beforehand. So you could take your hat off to the defensive coordinator over there, who I believe is Charlie Hovis, the head coach at Tabb High School.
3rd down and 10 for the West squad. Ball at their 23-yard line. Smith wants to pass, throws, has the man open momentarily, and stepping right in front of him with a nice interception is Ellis White, number 41 from George Wythe High School. And the East squad comes up with the interception.
And excellent field position. Tim, that ball just hung up a little too long for him. He needed to put it on more on a rope and zip it down there, because White just had no problem with stepping in and timing that thing.
WHCS Channel 29 presents Good AAA High School Football. The Bethel Bruins versus the Kecoughtan Warriors. From Todd Stadium in Newport News. Good afternoon, everybody.
Here's that play, Tim, and you can see that he kind of lofts the ball. It's got a little too much arc on it. And the young man had no problem of picking that ball off.
Back to the live action. Ball carrier for the East squad is number 35. That's Robert Dybala.
Well, Tim, he ran into his own pulling lineman that time. There was a lineman that pulled from the right side. He was supposed to lead that play, and the timing was just a little bit off, and he ran into him, lost his balance, fell down. He was not really tackled.
Okay, of course, this rivalry is a rivalry.
So a loss of a couple of yards. 2nd down and 12, 6:05 to go here in a scoreless first half. The sun has set now. The temperature has plummeted to probably about 87 degrees.
Really plummeted, huh?
And the East is going to call a timeout.
They were about to get a penalty for a delay of game, Tim. They've got to do some adjustments. You can't get the ball in good field position. This is the 2nd time they've done that on a turnover, and they've got to come up with some points.
I think first of all, it's probably going to be a ground.
So with 5:55 to go here in the first half, I'll remind you that you're watching the 42nd annual VHSCA VHSL high school game. There you see the coaching staff on the near side of the field, and right in the middle there is our friend Danny Mitchell of Hampton High School, who I think what you said is responsible for putting this game together.
Yeah, he is one of the directors. He's the director of the football game. They had a director for the girls basketball, one for the boys basketball, one for the baseball team, and Danny's done an excellent job. And you see he's still doing his job over there. And that's on this near side. That's on the west side of the field. That's not on the east side, so he's not playing favorites. He's all over the field, making sure everything goes off okay. Danny does an excellent job as one of the assistant coaches for Hampton High School and Mike Smith. He has quite a few number of years now. And if we get a chance, I just want to send my wishes along to Steve Washington, who you and I both know. Steve is recovering from an illness, and it looks like he's on his way back to recovery. And I don't know that he will be coaching this year at Hampton High or not, but he will be sorely missed, I'm sure. But we want to send along our best wishes to Steve.
Absolutely, and I echo those sentiments exactly. Incidentally, if you were wondering what the VHSCA stands for,
okay, tell me.
I knew you weren't. The Virginia High School Coaches Association.
Right.
And then a VHSL, of course, is the Virginia High School Sports League. Yeah, I knew that.
That's what I like about you, Tim. You're flexible. We found out how flexible you were when we were on our way up here today.
Oh, me. You know, you mentioned something about Charlie Hovis, Tab High School. Boy, we got a game coming up for the fans on the peninsula.
Oh, that's going to be excellent. First week of September. We played at York High School at Bailey Field.
Sold out Bailey Field, I'm sure.
I'll tell you what, if you don't have a ticket, you're not going to get in. Tab and Hampton, what a game that'll be.
East squad, quick look-in pass is knocked down by one of the defenders. Looked like for the West squad there, it was number 50, and that would be Trent Bowers, who got a big hand on that ball just as it was being released across the middle there and knocked that pass down. So now it's 3rd down and 12 for the East.
Well, it looks like the receiver was wide open, but you got to get the ball to it. Evidently, the coaching staff found a weakness there in that quick, short zone across the center. But the big lineman put his hands up. It's like throwing over 9 feet instead of 6 feet.
Getting back to, without belaboring that point, the game that we'll be doing, that'll be the first game that we'll cover this coming fall, and we will be doing several high school games. Of course, the Hampton City schools will not have Darling Stadium to play at, and I might mention that I'm told, well, I'll get to that in just a moment, as we're in a 3rd down and 12 now. The East squad trying to get on the scoreboard. They're at the West 30. Fake, and Williams wants to pass, but now he's going to have to run for his life. He's looking for a block, gets one from one official. Then we've got a flag going down. Williams has some running room now. He's all over the field, and he'll have apparently a first down. It'll depend on who the penalty is going to be called on.
Is he exciting or what, Tim?
Now, I'm afraid his excitement is going to be for naught because the ball is going to be brought back. The indication initially from the official is that the penalty will be against the East squad, so that will negate. Well, now, wait a minute, I might be premature in this.
No, it's a clip. It's a clip.
Yeah, okay.
I'd like to see that on instant replay if we got that. That was an excellent job by Eric Williams, and he has did that all year at Kecoughtan High School.
Okay, we're going to have it, and here it comes. Here's the replay. Maybe we can pick up this block that was called a clip. Should be coming up very quickly here. Now, if it's out of our screen, if it's occurring right now. Okay, there, I believe right at the top of your screen, right in the middle of that run, there you see the flag coming down. I think that's where the clip might have occurred. As one of the blockers in his zealous effort to spring Williams got behind one of the players and clipped him, of course. Probably the most dangerous thing that you can do in a football game is knock someone down from behind like that.
Now that takes them clear back, Tim. They got a 3rd down and a
100 yards to go. They were in a first down situation as they'd gotten down inside the 20. But unfortunately for the East squad, the clipping call will bring it back.
It looks like about right at 40 yards. I'm not sure how far that is.
Well, let's see. They need a first down, and to get there, they got to be to the 18, I think it is, 17 or 18.
That's right close to 40.
Coach Mike Smith in a familiar pose, having a brief discussion with the official, wanting to perhaps get a further explanation of the clip. We didn't see the clip on the replay. It was just barely out of the picture.
On that, what we needed was a wider angle on it where we could get all the players, especially when you have a young man that scrambles like Eric Williams. You don't know where he's going to be. And if you want to pick up some of the stuff going on, I know Mike is really upset because he didn't feel like it was a clip. And there's not been many flags thrown against the West yet, so Mike is
working the officials, you think, maybe?
And if you get a good look at Mike Smith as the fan, if the camera could get on him, Mike has lost 28 pounds. I didn't even recognize him. He's really lost some weight. He got his hair trimmed and looking younger and slimmer than ever.
I'd like to know how he lost those 28 pounds. I'd love to be able to do that.
Well, he said it was diet and exercise.
Well, those are two of the nastiest words I know. You don't have any other kind of magic formula, do you?
No, I don't think the magic works on that, Tim.
Yeah, that doesn't do it. You know who
may
also?
have some pants that you can wear now. I don't know.
No, I don't think he ever got as big as I am. I tell you who looks like he's lost a couple of pounds is Dr. Sam Stills. Here's the replay. Let me see if we can pick up this block. Now this clip, if it's going to occur, should be at the top of your screen, coming up here momentarily. Right in this, okay, coming up here right about there.
And it really wasn't a clip there, Tim. I don't see any clip.
We're gonna look at this nice and slow. We got plenty of time. They haven't even come out. There's the player that's down, the blue player going just
right
on the
there,
right
Tim.
up end corner of your screen.
Right there on number 63. That's where they threw the flag.
Is that what
on.
they did? Didn't look like he made much contact. Williams is going to throw for it. He's got a man open. He's got to complete it inside the 20-yard line. It's going to be close to a first down. I don't think he's got enough.
I don't think so, Tim. He was spotted on the 20, and he had to go to the 17. But that was an excellent throw. And I tell you that Eric Williams is exciting to watch.
That was only third down, so they've got some reprieve here. That brings up a fourth down. I don't know why I was thinking it was fourth down.
They would have punted from where they were.
Sure, I'm sorry. I lost track of the downs in our efforts to pick up the mysterious clip. So I apologize for that. I was thinking it was fourth down. So Williams threw and got all of those yards back, all but about one, as he threw that pass for almost 40 yards. Williams is an exciting ball player. I'm not sure where he's going to play college ball if he is.
I wish I knew, because whoever gets him is going to be excited. They're going to have a tremendous athlete and an excellent student over there.
Now we've got an official's timeout, and they're going to charge this timeout again to the East squad. So head coach Mike Smith will trot out on the field. His opponent on the other side of the field tonight, the coach from Fauquier High School, was a game that we did last year. You talk about differences in temperatures.
I was wondering if you remember, but Tim, if you remember, there was a guy that was in shorts.
That's right. There was. In the snow.
It was snowing.
It was snowing. They said that this man was released just that day from one of the institutions. I thought it was a college, but apparently it was a different kind of institution, because it was snow flurrying. The wind must have been about 80 miles an hour. The wind chill factor wasn't even on the chart.
Oh, it was unbelievable to see that coach out there with the shorts on, and you and I up there, we were freezing sitting there, and I just couldn't believe that he had shorts on. But we could use the shorts today. It's warm.
Well, the officials are wearing shorts. The Zebras have their shorts on tonight, so they knew what to anticipate.
Well, they've probably done this before, and this is our first chance. But I'll tell you, if we do it again next year, we will definitely dress for the occasion.
All right, it's fourth down and about 2 for the East squad. Trying to get on that scoreboard. 4:56 to go here in the first half. Neither team has been able to even really get close to scoring. And again, as you might expect, the defenses are ahead of the offenses at this point. Williams, however, is trying to change that. He's going to be dragged down, and he's going to be short of the first down. So he was looking downfield, wanted to go for all of it. Had a couple of intended receivers out there. Number 12 was Mark Poindexter. And along with Poindexter.
But Tim, a good play that time would have been a quarterback draw, and I don't know if they have that in their repertoire or not, but as exciting as Williams is running, that would have been a good play.
Well, we're going to see a replay of the situation. It looked like Williams did step up.
Well, he was getting ready to pass the ball, Tim. It was not a designed run on his part, but you had three yards to go, and I'm sure that's what they were looking for. And here we go. We didn't get the instant replay in.
So the West takes over on downs. Pitch back goes to Lydell Scott. He crosses the 15 to about the 15 and a half.
Heaves the ball, has a man open, but
I'd be curious looking at some of the beef out here tonight. How many tons of food was consumed at the tables this week during this coach's clinic? And imagine some of these young men. I'd hate to have the tab for that food bill.
I would too.
Yeah, we're going to get a replay now of that play earlier when Williams steps back. He wants to throw. Now he's going to step up in the pocket. It looks for a moment like he's going to get the yardage he needs, and then just at the last second, the defender grabs a hold of him and drags him short of the first down.
And that was Stephen Holloway, number 70 on the West. Had he got by him, he would have picked up more than enough yards for the first down.
Along the sidelines, getting substantial yards.
Well, they got a first down on that play, so the East with 3:47 to go has first down on their own 30-yard line. And they've had more success after they've been deep in their own territory, Tim, but once they get across the 50, they seem to make some mistakes and throw some interceptions.
Threes are wild on the board, 3:33 to go, and this one's stacked up at the line of scrimmage. Ball comes loose. One of the East players, number 63, who is Ronald Lassiter from Lafayette High School, indicating that that ball was loose, but it wasn't, in fact.
Once a player's knees are down, Tim, that is no longer considered a fumble because he is down, and the ground can't commit you can't have a fumble because caused by the ground either.
I'm sorry, I was remiss in earlier mentioning that a couple of Lafayette players are here. Stephen Ainsworth from Lafayette, along with Ronald Lassiter. So the Peninsula well represented on the East squad. Smith chased and dragged down from behind. Check that.
That's Wheeler's quarterback in this time. He's rotating them, Tim. Every other offensive play, you'd either see Wheeler and then Smith or Smith and Wheeler. He keeps rotating them. He meaning the head coach over there at the West squad.
2.5 minutes to go.
Here's the instant replay of that. You see he almost gets away, but that was an excellent job by number 62, I believe it was. The defenseman 61 over on the other far side. It is 62, Tim.
Nobody open, and he just stuck the ball underneath his arm.
Ball is knocked loose and apparently recovered by the quarterback, Wheeler, as he handed it into the middle of the line, and the ball popped loose. But the West squad recovers the fumble. Minute 55 to go in the first half, and it's fourth down and a kicking punt situation for the West.
And the kicker for the West is a left-footed kicker, Tim, and this is one thing that you don't get a chance to work on too much, as you've got a different spin on the ball than you do when you have a right-footed kicker. And sometimes that's a little hard to handle.
Mark Poindexter is in deep punt formation, standing back at his 10. 3 men deep for the East squad. A relatively light rush. He gets a beautiful spiraling kick all the way back to the 35-yard line. And a return of about 14. The ball pops loose, but I believe they'll say it was out of bounds before that happened.
Well, he got it back right close to the 50-yard line, so the East with a minute 19, Tim, they'll put the ball in the air, and of course when you got Eric Williams back there quarterbacking, not only do you have a good passer, but a hellacious scrambler. The young man will put some moves on you back there.
He will. He'll keep you guessing every minute of the time, and that's what makes him so dangerous and so exciting, is you just don't know what he's going to do next. So the ball is marked just shy of midfield. And Williams, who has gone all the way here in the first half, steps up to the line. A minute 19 left in the first half. Williams dropping straight back. Lost it downfield. He has a man open, but the ball is underthrown and intercepted. So again, Lamont Scales, number 32 of Drury Mason High School, comes up with the interception, and that was a case of the ball being underthrown. If he'd thrown it longer, it might have been a catch.
It might have been. Looked like, now I watched the throwing motion that time of Merrick, and it looked like the ball may have slipped a little coming out of his hands, Tim. But I'm sure that the perspiration out there, that you're going to have some moisture, and very possibly could lose that ball. I'm not trying to make an excuse for him because it was an excellent pass, but like you said, it was underthrown.
So the turnover gives the ball back to the West squad. They have a minute exactly remaining in the first half. And back at quarterback is Eric Smith. As you mentioned, Bob, alternating on offensive downs, offensive possessions, I should say. Nothing happening for the running attack. In the middle of that line, Sherwood Jones, number 70, the Hampton graduate, number 72 for the East squad there as well, and that is Leonard Robinson. A couple of big boys Jones coming in at 222 and Robinson at 255 for Charlie Hovis' tab
I'll
team.
lay you odds that those aren't your true weights, Tim. And it looks like to me the West is just going to be satisfied with running the clock out. There's less than 25 seconds to go. They'll run a play and then just go ahead and run it out and go into halftime scoreless tie. But they will be kicking off the beginning of the second half. The East will be receiving.
Just 10 seconds to go. And this is Lydell Scott carrying for the West squad. And that should be it.
That was number 50 for the East making the tackle that time, Emmanuel Moss.
So they've played 24 minutes, the East-West All-Star game from Lynchburg. And at halftime, we are scoreless. And we'll return with second half action right after this brief timeout and this message from Channel 29 WHCS.
Okay, I'm standing here with Coach Mike Smith and Coach Charlie Hovis, and I've got an interview that Channel 10 can get, Channel 3 can get, Bruce Rader can get. We're talking about the big football game between Hampton and Tabb. And Charlie, how are ticket sales going? I talked to everybody and they say we're already sold out.
We sold all the tickets to Tabb people. We're not going to let Mike get any so Crabbers can't come.
Okay, Coach Smith, you know, Charlie practices all year. How are we going to defense that when we get, into the big game?
Well, Coach, we've been running pretty hard since he's been down here in Lynchburg this week, and working him hard. We thought he might have to relax a little bit. When he went back home, we might get an edge on him that way.
Charlie, is Dick Kirby going to be able to play, or is he going to be in the Soviet Union playing basketball?
He's going to play basketball and then wait till y'all's game come in. He doesn't need to practice against Mike.
Doesn't need to practice. Well, Coach Charlie says it's going to be all orange over there. What are we going to dress in? We're going to take all red with us?
No, Coach, we're going to wear all black. It's going to look like the witches out on Halloween after Charlie and them round pumpkins up there.
Hey, okay, here we are from Lynchburg, Virginia, and you got this. Channel 10 couldn't get it, Channel 3 couldn't get it, Channel 29 got it. Thank you.
All right, we got the Phoebus coach, Bill D. Coach, your thoughts on the first half?
Well, I think defensively, of course, is very obvious why the score dominated the first half. And I think in all-star games, you're going to see that because it's so hard to get anything going offensively with, kids coming from different systems and so forth. But maybe we'll see some score in the second half.
What about the Hampton delegation here? We have about 5 representing us. How'd they do the first half?
I think they've all, done a good job. I know Sherwood Jones and Petey Whitfield have done a good job on defense. Weymouth Williams. Offensively, Eric Williams had some great runs. Unfortunately, the one was called back because of a clip.
Questionable call.
Yeah. I didn't really see it because it was all the way over here. I know Coach Smith wasn't real happy about it, but unfortunately, it stalled the drive. But they did get back down here. They just missed an opportunity, to make something happen.
You're Coach Smith. What would you be looking to try to do in the second half?
Well, I think Coach Smith is really trying to mix it up and, make the game exciting. I don't think they're going to change a whole lot. I just, maybe execute a little better and hopefully something will break open for them.
What about the heat factor?
Well, I think the heat could be a little bit of a factor, but I think all these athletes are in pretty good condition, and they're, I don't think anybody's playing both ways. Maybe a couple kids have to play both ways, but I think that won't be a big factor, and hopefully we'll see some good football in the second.
A lot of points in the second half?
I don't think we'll see a lot, but I hope we'll see some.
Okay, thanks a lot, Coach.
Okay.
Bill D., Phoebus Phantoms head coach.
From Todd Stadium in Newport News. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tim Cole along with Bob Hintz and A.G. Womble. And we are here for this afternoon's game.
Tim Cole with Bob Hintz and A.G. Womble back here at City Stadium in Lynchburg. Halftime score, the East squad and the West squad locked in a scoreless tie. And we are waiting for both teams to return to the field. We have the West squad coming on. The halftime statistics, as best I can pick up from the local PA announcer, Bob, was basically nil. That the East squad was minus and the West squad was just barely plus. So it's been pretty well evenly fought here.
Well, and what we talked about earlier, Tim, is the defenses are going to be ahead of the offense. Although we saw some exciting play by Eric Williams on a couple of pass plays and a scramble play, and we got to see the replay of that scramble, and it does not look like to us that the young man was there was a clipping on it, although somebody did dive at somebody's feet from behind. And of course, if you're an official and all you've got to do is a certain angle, and here this play is right now we were talking about.
We're going to do it nice and slowly here. We're going to see if we can pick up. Of course, let's face it, up here it's a lot easier to say we didn't get it, but the official was right there on the field.
Well, the official's in the picture right now is not the one that threw the flag. And
Here
as you
comes
see
right
coming
here.
down here, number 63 is the one that's going to get clipped, so to speak. And you notice that the young man is going after him, and it does not look like he makes contact to me. There's no contact made. But now you'll see the flag coming in the area, and that's exactly that's the only play that we could see on the instant replay that could have even been considered a clip. Eric just did an excellent job that time.
Okay, Bob, we're going to go to an interview that we had earlier tonight, and this is an interview with the head coach of the West squad.
West head coach, Fauquier County, how's the practice been going the last 10 days?
Well, it's been rather hot and so forth, but under the circumstances and so forth, we sort of try to take it rather easy and give them a lot of water and, you know, try to execute and so forth and not work much with fundamentals or scrimmaging, and they came through in good shape.
We expect a lot of good things out of tonight.
Well, we're going to play them all by series and so forth, the quarterbacks and so forth. And, you know, in a game like this, we have some real good talent, and you never know who's going to come to the front.
It's kind of a privilege coaching these young kids.
Well, yes, anytime, you know, you can get the best out of one state and split them up, it's a real good game to be involved in.
What are your thoughts going up against Coach Smith tonight?
Well, we're going to try to get after him and let the best team win.
Okay, what about the heat? Is that going to be a factor?
Well, I think it's going to be a factor for both teams, but we're going to try to substitute freely and so forth and do the best we can under the conditions, and I don't think it's any advantage or disadvantage for either team.
Okay, Coach, good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. All right, Coach John Shamar, Fauquier. Mike.
Okay, we're back here at City Stadium. I've got Danny Mitchell standing beside me here, Bob, and I thought this would be an opportune time to ask Danny. AG asked him earlier about what the proceedings were going on here during the week. As coordinator of the football game, Danny, what were some of the problems that you might have anticipated here? I know one of the things I raised during the game was I was telling Bob, I said, imagine trying to feed these boys for a week must have cost a heavy penny. Where does the money come from for this particular event?
Well, we work the deal with the city of Lynchburg, and we stay at Lynchburg College. All the football players stay at Lynchburg College, and they're fed 3 meals a day. And, you know, we pay the bills out of the Coaches Association. And, you know, Lynchburg College, I don't believe you can eat in any university any better than that food there. And it's really super, and the kids really seem to enjoy it.
We were commenting about some of the smaller players, like Rodney Davis here on the West squad, number 72, comes in about 340. I'd like to say
he's a mountain.
But you know, he's quite a ball player too, and I'm sure what you've seen as a coordinator of this event is the fact that you have some superb athletes here.
You know, we have you know, super athletes down on Peninsula, and you know, but the size-wise, we don't have anybody, you know, close to 340 pounds. And the bad thing about that boy is he can run.
Yeah.
You know, you see 340 pounds, you say, well, you know, he's going to have to be slow and lumberous, but he can run.
Stick with us for the minute if you have, Danny. Maybe you can make a couple of comments during the early part of the third quarter here as we're about set to get underway. Kickoff is taken by the East squad at the 30, check that 25-yard line, and that's where the East squad will resume their play. As the ball player for the East was Scott Mahoney, and the Eastern squad will again be quarterback. Well, let's see who's going to call the signals for the second half here. We saw Eric Williams.
And he's coming back in again, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is because number 10 was hurt. Is that correct, Danny?
The little quarterback from Dinwiddie yesterday twisted his ankle on about the last play of the scrimmage, and they were just winding practice down, and he fell in the pile and twisted his ankle, and he lost him for the game.
Well, I wondered if that wasn't the reason that Eric was going the whole way the first half for sure.
They marked the ball at the 25. Right up the middle, close to a first down, pickup of 9 yards, and the ball carrier for the East squad is number 44. That's David Brown of Phoebus High School.
We got to see him this year, Tim. He's excellent. It looks like they've made a couple of adjustments. That's the first long running play that they've had right up the middle.
Danny, you've been with these players and around them all week long. What kind of condition are most of these young men in? Are they in pretty good shape?
They're in pretty good shape, believe it or not. You know, having the whole summer to mess around, and they take the game seriously, and they come in good shape, and we work them for about a week.
David Brown is pushed back, but it will appear very close to a first down. It depends exactly on where the ball is going.
Well, if he's spotting the ball where the official is, that is a first down, Tim, because he crossed the 35, and all he had to do was get to the 35.
That will be the initial first down of the ball game for the East squad, as they were held to a minus 18 yards net in the first half. They had 10 yards rushing and minus 28 passing. And here comes the replay on David Brown's first down.
And this is something that they've been working on, and Sam Steele is just doing an excellent job on it, Tim.
Okay, we'll hold off for that in just a second as they got the play back underway a little quicker than we anticipated. Got movement in the backfield, no flags as Brown is hit hard after crossing the line of scrimmage, picking up about 3. He moved in the backfield, and I'm surprised we didn't have some kind of motion penalty.
Well, sometime what they'll do is once you get set back, and you're supposed to be set for a second, and the official looked at him, and that was not creating any problem, and he just went ahead and let it play that time.
Danny, what kind of problem does Eric Williams have having to go the whole game? Was he anticipating, obviously not anticipating doing this all week long? What kind of problem does this present for him?
Well, I think Eric's really going to enjoy going all the way, and Coach Smith and all of us from the East know he has no problem going both ways. It's just a shame the kid from Didwin is not going to get a chance to play.
No question. So it's 2nd down and 7, pickup of 3. Just underway here in the second half. Right side handoff, and powering his way to midfield is number 35, and that would be Robert Nabila of Kellam High School, 6 foot tall, 215-pounder.
Danny, are there any special rules that they do? I heard something about you have to pass the ball 20%. Is there, like, you can't send your linebackers in or something? Can you help us with that?
Right, we run a straight 5-2. And you have to play a straight 5 across the front, and your tackles have to be head up on the other tackle. Have 2 linebackers, and we can't do any blitzing at all.
Okay.
And on offense, we get together the first night that we're here, and you can only run 3 formations on offense. Now you can flip-flop them, but you can only run 3 formations. It makes it easier on the kids and on the coaching staff.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
Another first down for the East squad, so that's their second of the ball game. Both of them coming here as the running attack continues to work pretty well for Mike Smith's East squad.
Well, they obviously have done some good adjustments on the blocking assignments against that 5-man line, because they're opening up some nice holes. But these runners are getting hit, Danny, and are continuing to run after they get hit to pick up 3 or 4 yards.
This little Neil Balla, well, he's not little, but he looks exactly like Michael Stefanko from Hampton. If Michael was 6 foot, 185 pounds like this boy, he'd look exactly like him. They're both red-headed. They both run hard. In fact, he looks exactly like him. He gained over 1,000 yards to Kellam.
Got a real good question for you here in a minute, Danny.
Did you get in your pocket to get this one?
Man, I got this one. I wrote this one earlier. Close to a first down. It apparently will be, in fact, a first down. So the East squad comes out here in the second half, controlling the ball, and moves down the field to the West's 39-yard line with another first down. Danny, Coach Smith, of course, is usually very tight-lipped about the team coming up and so forth. What does Hampton look like for this coming season as state runner-ups? How are they going to be hurt, if anything at all, by that graduation?
Well, we lost a few kids, but, we think we have some kids to fill in, and we think we're going to have a good team, and depends on how they work in the weight room this summer, and hopefully we'll do well when we start against Tab this year.
Of course, we're anticipating that game with great glee. We will have that game. We're going to be broadcasting that game here on Channel 29. It will be tape delayed, and of course, if those fans that want to see that game haven't already gotten their tickets, they may be out of luck as it is.
Well, the seating capacity is not as big as it would be like at Todd Stadium. But, Danny, I enjoyed your interview with Mike and Charlie at the beginning of the game. That was an excellent interview with them. And, of course, there was a lot of kidding going on. But, boy, when the season starts, it's going to be all serious, I'm sure.
Well, we have a good time. Charlie's a real nice guy, and coach, and they're real good friends.
Second down and 6 for the East squad at the 35. Pitch back comes to David Brown. Brown with a little room on the short side of the field. Gets down about to the 31 before he's driven out. I guess the biggest question that the Crabbers have this year, Danny, would be how do you replace a Weymouth Williams and a Sherwood Jones?
And a Mike Stefanko.
And a Mike Stefanko.
But, we've lost 3 good kids, but there's been years before we've lost good kids, and we just work them hard, and the kids that are coming up are going to have to fill in the blanks.
We've got an injured player for the West squad on the sidelines here. He is being attended to. I'm not sure exactly of the nature of his problem. Never seen the replay.
Right, and you can see that David Brown does a good job of following his interference there and just staying right behind the blocker. And it may be that as the guy went out that somebody fell on his leg or something, Tim. That may be what happened at that point.
Yeah, crush and run right out there, it's pretty hard. It's like falling on cement right out there in front of the bench right there.
Yeah, I noticed that when I come out. I was concerned about that when I first saw it because it is like cement, and I'm sure that it's there because of if you do have inclement weather, it's going to be muddy there, and that's why they've got it set up that way. But you can hear a good hand for the young man as we're getting ready to start play again. And Tim, you're right. We got a third, and it looks like a long one. And there's that replay again.
Yeah, you see there's a real mass of humanity right there. That's when your accidents and your injuries occur so often. That stuff, as you mentioned, is real hard to fall on. And they fell on that quite hard. Left side carry, some hard licks being thrown out there. These boys, as I said, I guess the biggest concern that some of the coaches have to have, of course, is not being in tip-top condition. You're more prone to injuries if you're not in the best of shape.
Well, that number 35, Robert Nabala. Yeah, he is an excellent runner after he gets hit. Yeah, one man is not bringing him down, Danny.
He runs real hard in practice. He hurt his shoulder, and he hasn't been in contact in about 3 days. But before he hurt his shoulder, he was taking 5, 6 kids to tackle him.
Well, isn't that Stefanko's past history?
Yeah. Well, Mike is a lot smaller guy than this young man is too.
Oh, yeah.
But that's what Danny was talking about. That they're very similar to running, but. Mike didn't have the physical attributes this young man did, but he was as hard to bring down.
I know when he was hurt about 3 or 4 days ago, we were going to bring Mike up, and but the doctor said he'd be all right. So that's who we were going to replace him with.
Another first down for the East squad as they've done this damage with the running game. And Mike, check that, David Brown is the ball carrier for maybe a yard or so.
Well, the defense that time got tough, and they just clogged that middle up. But Mike has got his offensive unit doing a good job opening up some holes for those big backs. And once they get through the initial line of scrimmage, then it's taking 2 or 3 other people to bring them down. They're picking up 4 or 5 yards at a clip.
Charlie's a line coach, and I don't think Mike wanted to show him too many blocking schemes. But the game was on the line, so I think they might have went in and showed him a few there that we might use against him.
I was just wondering about that.
We've been real basic down there in the line.
Second down and 8 for the East. Scoreless ball game, third quarter. Fake to Brown, toss it downfield. Got the man open. He just can't quite get to it. As the intended receiver downfield for the East squad was William Wood of Henrico High School. And he had a step on the defender, but the ball was just thrown a little long. But it was a good play. It looked like Williams might be able to connect with him in the corner.
Yeah, he put the ball in a spot, and the young man had to run to that spot. And it was just got there a little bit late, but did make a valiant effort to try to catch that ball. Danny, are they going to rotate the All-Star? There's a good shot of the instant replay of him diving for the ball. Are they going to rotate this at different parts of the state? How does that work?
Well, we used to do that, and we were losing a little bit of money, and we come up with a good contract with the city of Lynchburg, and they guaranteed us that we wouldn't lose money, and we just signed a 3-year contract with them, and we were real happy to do that.
Williams, same intended receiver, this time a different story as the ball is caught and held onto.
And he got the first down, Tim, and that's what you call an excellent receiver. He knew how far down he had to go to get that first down. Well, that's good to know then. It's going to be up here for the next 3 years for sure.
It'll be here for the next 2 years, and it's just excellent facilities. Everything's real close. The basketball games are played at Liberty University, and the baseball games played right next door at the City Stadium,
right,
where the Mets used to play. Now the Red Sox are playing there. It's just a nice complex to get a group of kids together.
Well, it's a super complex. I was most impressed. This is my first visit to Lynchburg, and I'm very impressed with this sports facility. It's a beautiful, beautiful complex. The Peninsula should have something quite this nice. Hopefully, when Darling Stadium gets renovated, we're going to have something as nice. Of course, they have the advantage of having the baseball field literally around the other side of the stadium here.
I coach Legion baseball over there in the summertime, and I keep trying to envision what it's going to look like. keep looking, but I'm just waiting for new stands or something to be put up, to know that we're on the move in that direction.
That's what I was talking to Tim earlier about. Is it doesn't look like they've done anything once they've knocked down that visitor side, and nothing has been done since. And we need to let the fans back in the peninsula know that the ball games in Hampton City Schools are going to be played at 3 different sites, if I'm not mistaken: Poquoson, Todd Stadium, and over at Hampton University.
Right. All of us will be on the road this year, and that's going to be a little bit of a disadvantage. So I hope it's ready by next year.
Second down and 9 for the East. Williams looks, scrambles. Oh, he's something else. He's got about 6 blockers over here if he can find him. Throws it in the end zone. Got a man wide open. Touchdown.
I don't know how he found that guy, but he made a turn. And he threw right to, that was David Brown, wasn't it? Phoebus, wide open in the end zone. What an excellent play by Eric Williams of Kecoughtan High School.
So the Peninsula connects with the Peninsula. Brown connects, and we're going to have a replay, and we'll get that for you momentarily, but Eric Williams connects with his old nemesis at Phoebus High School, David Brown. Brown was just wide open.
There's no way that you can defend against that.
So the extra point try, here we go. We're going to watch Williams now. This is one of the beautiful things that we'll have this year is the replay. Williams will take his time. Then he'll get some pressure.
And you see David Brown, number 44, just coming right out of your picture. He is not a primary receiver at all, but he sees what's happening, and he finds an open area.
Whoa, look out. What a move by Williams. I'm telling you, it's exciting.
What's amazing, no linemen went downfield. They all stayed back and blocked for him.
They sure did that time. That was amazing. But look how wide open David Brown is in the end zone. I mean, it was 3 ball players that could have caught that touchdown.
I got to take my hat off to our crew. What a great job of following that play every bit of the way. That eat your heart out, home team sports. That was superb.
You, Tim, we need to let the fans know that we are really experimenting with this instant replay in slow motion, and we're just going to be excellent with this thing as the season progresses, and especially for that first game with Tab and Hampton over at Bailey Field in York High School. That's we feel very fortunate to have this thing to be able to use to help us.
And as we're experimenting with it, as you do many times when you're experimenting with something, you learn as the ball is kicked out of bounds here after the touchdown. The extra point, by the way, was no good. But, and again, I want to give some praise where it's due. Our crew that time just followed that play perfectly. I haven't seen anyone do much better than that. Williams, who is incredibly elusive, made that 360 right there at the sidelines. We followed all the way, threw the ball down there. David Brown is in the end zone, and it's a touchdown, and as far as I'm concerned, a definite touchdown for the crew on that last play.
No, they need to pat themselves on the back.
We hope you'll watch at the end of the ball game. We're going to run the names of some of those fine people. We got, of course, Dr. Sam Still is operating the slow motion tonight. Scotty Bowers is their director. Jerome is on one camera. Who else is on the camera?
Well, let's see. We got Bev Thaxton's pen is here, and so is Angela. And Angela is up on one of the cameras, and I don't know which one is following those cameras, but they are just doing an excellent job. Or on the camera following those plays. We got there's a nice kick.
Taken back at the 13-yard line. Looking for some outside running room. And then taken down. That's number 24 for the West squad. That would be Dana Palmer of Radford High School.
Well, Tim, excuse me. Danny, do they actually practice it 18 times? You said 2 a day and about 9 days of practice.
Yeah, we started last Wednesday, and we practiced for a whole week, and it's up to the individual. It's been awful hot here, so we try to go in full pads in the morning, and maybe go out in shorts and shoulder pads in the afternoon. And then we have a couple days where we only practice once, like on Sunday and once on Wednesday.
Okay. I just didn't know how many times you got to practice, and I'm sure the timing is tough to get when you got all new players coming on.
Well, I think that last touchdown was a typical all-star play. Eric was scrambling around and, threw the touchdown. And I said before the game started, all practice long, I believe Eric Williams was going to get one like that before it was all over with.
Well, he is definitely excited, and I remember hearing some of the Hampton coaches saying that Kecoughtan was as tough as T.C. Williams was in the state finals, that you had to play him twice this year.
We played Kecoughtan twice and Eric Williams twice, and you know, we still think that they were one of the best teams we played all year long. And Eric was definitely the quickest quarterback we'd faced all year.
And the most dangerous, I'm sure.
And this young man quarterback in the West right here, this is Mike's cousin.
Yeah, I had talked to Mike earlier.
And Smith connects in the East Territory. Good pass play to Todd Paulo from Eric Smith. So Smith to Paulo all the way down to the East 41-yard line.
Well, that's what I was talking about that earlier, Danny, that I talked to Mike Smith, and he was telling me that was his cousin. And he said he threw over 2,400 yards and 23 touchdowns, and excellent arm.
He's down in Abington. In fact, his older brother played in the All-Star game last year.
Right side handoff across the 40 down to about the 37-yard line. We're going to see a replay. Here we go of Smith throwing to Paulo. Paulo was wide open, and Smith got it right in the arms, and Paulo did a good job of bringing that ball down, and the defenders for the East there dragged him down, but not before a big first down as the West squad, trailing by 6, is in East Territory.
Well, Danny, if this game were to end in a tie, is there any provisions for a playoff?
We play it just like we would
the regular season. Okay.
And the only rules we have, you know, is if you're inside the 40, you have to go for it. And if you fall down by more than 9 points and you score, you can receive the ball again.
Okay.
The hitting seems to be picking up a little bit out there as the intensity level has increased a bit after the East squad got on the scoreboard.
Well, it's a little cooler too, Tim. I don't know if that's got anything to do with it.
But I was looking across the way at the coaching squad, and those guys are drenched just moving around in shorts and T-shirts. Can you imagine? Yeah, you said it's been hot here all week long, Danny. What on these big boys? I mean, I'm big, and I know what it's like to carry that weight with that heat. These guys got to be kind of low, really suffering out there a little bit, don't you think?
Yeah, they're trying to get as much liquid in them as they can.
Down the sidelines. Finally taken down inside the 10 at about the 7-yard line.
I like to see this replay on that. Looked like to me he went out of bounds, and I wasn't sure, but that was an excellent run.
Monty George.
That's that quick pitch, Tim, that they had some success with in the first half.
Looks like they're playing with a little bit of pride now. They don't want to be outdone by each other.
That's right.
I think it's going to turn into a football game here.
So big gainer for the West squad, brings it down for a 1st and goal. That's the first threat of the ball game for the West. Minute and 10 to go here in the 3rd quarter. Left side carry, not much happening over there. Among others was Sherwood Jones of Hampton. Down to about the 5-yard line. Inside of a minute to go. Good crowd on hand. You might definitely call this a short sleeve crowd. Nobody in parkas and fur coats out here tonight.
Not tonight.
We're going to have the replay after this play. We're going to show you, if we can, that long run that set up this 2nd down and goal now. This is Lydell Scott who gets the call, and he's stacked up inside the 5. So it's going to bring up a 3rd down now for the West squad. The clock continues to move.
And they're going to call timeout, Tim, so maybe during this timeout we can get that instant replay.
Okay, I believe we're going to be able to get that for you. Here we go. He gets real close to the sidelines down here, but the official on the play.
He was right on it, Tim, and he did not go out of bounds.
No, that was a good call, or no call, I guess we might say, by the officials, as he did get close. If we can slow that down a little bit, there was some real fine running on the part of the ball carrier. That was, as I said, that's Monty George. We've kept you a lot longer than we might have intended for you to spend with us here, Danny. If you've got to head off, don't let us hold you, but if you can stay, you're welcome to do so.
I'm going to stay here for 14 seconds. I can see the touchdown up here. You can see it a whole lot better than you can down on the field. So I'm going to hog the mic for just a little bit longer, and then I'll give it back to AG.
Not at all. We have enjoyed very much having an opportunity to talk to you. This is my first experience in seeing the coaches clinic, and it's been a good ball game.
There's a good shot of number 70, Sherwood Jones, in your camera right in the middle of your screen there, Tim. And
you notice Sherwood's helmet right there doesn't have any Crabber signals on it. They trade insignias on the side of the helmets. He's got a Lafayette sign on his and an Arcadia on the other side.
Yeah, I wondered about that. I was going to ask. I'm glad you picked that up.
3rd down and goal at the 3. West trailing by a touchdown. And where's the ball? I don't see who's got the ball. It came loose. It's going to be shy of a touchdown. So it'll bring up a 4th and goal.
I think he's got about a 1.5 feet to go.
And we're going to change ends. Tim, we're going to come down the other end.
So the fans at the one end of the stadium will not be able to see the 4th down attempt. You and I sitting right here on the 50, doesn't matter to us.
Look where they're spotting the ball, Tim. They're spotting it inside the 1 yard line at about the 1 foot line.
So the fans on the near side here, this is the west side of the stadium, are giving their squad a rousing cheer of support as they are happy to see them coming back. The game is opening up here a little bit. As I said, in the first half it was somewhat stilted in the play, but here in the second half we've seen a little more offense from both teams. It could be that defense just wearing down a little bit too. You know, that's what happened. They came out, they were fresh, they had the edge, and then as the play continues, they have to labor out there a little longer, a little harder.
Well, Tim, anytime you can get a big, long pass play like the West did there from Smith on that one of the very first plays of the offense that they had, it really fires your team up and says, as Danny was saying, a little bit of pride here. You know, we're not going to let the East be the only one to score tonight. We're going to get a score in ourselves and hopefully take the lead if they get the extra point. But they got a 4th down and less than 1. And, of course, now the pressure is on the offense. You got to get the ball in.
Danny, you're the head coach. What do you call? Who are you going to give the ball to?
I believe I'd have to give it to Lydell Scott after playing against him. You know, he's a super little running back, and
I got a chance.
Never stopped him for no gain.
I got a chance to be a coach, Bob. That's what I would have done. That's 1 in a row. Watch him do that and get stopped.
But you know what I would do? I don't know how good a running back Smith is, but that's what I just let him take the ball and follow his center. You got a foot to go. You don't have a chance for a fumble or anything. Yeah, that close. You ought to be able to pick up that foot.
All right. Let's see how this
thing
works.
about, you know, being an assistant coach. Right now, you sort of walk down to the end of the box and let coach call it. You know?
Well, I have to go with you, Danny. I think that with not knowing all the players, but knowing Lydell Scott from our past experience.
Well, this is what you want to be. If you're head coach, you want to be able to make this call right here.
Well, he's your money man.
He's cheated up a little bit.
Scott is in the backfield along with 24. That's Dana Palmer. As they'll take a moment to reset the ball, the officials are getting everybody in the right position as this could be the big play of the ball game. West trailing by a touchdown with a 4th and goal inside the 1. And it's Lydell Scott off the right side for the touchdown. Danny, you called that one right.
That's why Danny's a coach and I'm up here announcing.
So on the first play of the 4th quarter, Lydell Scott goes off the right side and goes in for the tally. And there you see the scoreboard, 6-6. And the West squad now with a chance to break the tie. On for the West squad to try the extra point will be Mark Poindexter. Have you had a chance, Danny? I mentioned this earlier, that it appeared that Eric Wheeler and Gordon Wheeler might be brothers. Is that correct? They went to the same high school. Are they not related?
I'm not sure. We were a little mixed up on that, too. We thought they were, but I don't believe they are.
Kick is up, and it is good. So the West squad is back on top by a point. And hopefully we'll have a replay of that touchdown. Here we go. This is Scott bursting in for the touchdown.
Guys, I've enjoyed it, and thank you for letting me come up here. And we got the interview of the year.
Yeah, you really did.
We're looking forward to y'all coming to the Tab game, and you know, we were just glad that you're here.
Well, thank you, Danny. We appreciate those kind words, and we look forward to it with great anticipation. You know, that interview of the year you're talking about, we haven't had a chance to show that yet, but I hope we'll have an opportunity to show Charlie Hovis and Mike Smith head-to-head with you as the referee. Looked like a tag team match out there.
You know, that's true, and the good thing about this is all the coaches, we've been on the same floor right across from the room, the East and the West, and, you know, every year you think you can't get better guys, and it just seems like, you know, each year the guys are so nice, and, you know, you can understand why they're successful because they do such a good job. Thank you again.
Okay, thank you, Danny.
Appreciate it, Danny.
Danny Mitchell, assistant coach at Hampton High School. We appreciate you coming by.
And the director of this ball game
and
tonight.
the director, who's done a superb job of putting this game together. The fans have seen a good ball game. I hope you at home have enjoyed what we've had so far. We've got a pretty close ball game. You can't get any closer than 7-6. This ball hits one of the East players. He's got to pick it up and run with it. And they're going to be deep in East territory, just across the 10, out to about the 12-yard line.
I tell you what, that West squad is really fired up now, Tim. They can smell blood. They fell behind 6-0 and came back and just took the ball right on down the field, and on a strong pass from Eric Smith, and right on down, and fine running by Lydell Scott.
Scott scored from 1 yard out at 11:58 of the fourth quarter. The only other score of the ball game, a 14-yard pass from Eric Williams of Kecoughtan High School to David Brown of Phoebus High School. The extra point try was no good, and the West holds that slim 1-point lead. They'll start from about their 12-yard line, the East will. Eric Williams looking to pass. Unloads, got a man way downfield, but this ball is overthrown. That ball was thrown 60 yards in the air.
Oh, what an arm.
What an arm is right. He was standing right about his 5-yard line and threw it all the way to the 40-yard line on the other side of the center of the field.
Oh, that'll loosen your defense up a little bit. They've got to get the first down and get their momentum back on their side if they want to get back in this ball game. And it doesn't look like we're going to have a tie game now with a 1-point swing now, Tim.
You know, that play was reminiscent of the Hail Mary pass that Hampton, Eric Hunter, threw in that championship game that brought Hampton so close to winning the state championship back in the fall against T.C. Williams. Inside, the handoff goes. Ball carrier is number 42 for the East. That's Scott Mahoney of Mills Godwin, 6'1", 215-pounder.
Well, he picked up 5 yards that time, Tim.
11 minutes to go in the ball game. West squad won last year's game 19-14 here at City Stadium for a crowd of 6,400. And as I said before, as we started the ball game, the West squad has been victorious 5 of the last 6 years. And I find that not totally misleading, but it seems strange when you consider that the champions of the state, of course, as teams, which is a whole different story, but the champions have come from the eastern part of Virginia for the last couple of years, with the exception of T.C. Williams.
Well, that's true.
You consider all the quality players that come from Kellam, Green Run, Maury. Of course, all the Peninsula schools are well represented here.
Well, and if you look at the Peninsula schools have been the dominant factor in the state championship over the last 10 years, that you're going to find more Hampton and Peninsula schools involved in the state championship than you are any other league.
But of course, that really echoes the fact that it's a team sport, and you can only have so many players, and it really doesn't have as much to do with who wins as you might imagine. Williams in a crowd throws. He's got a receiver close to the 40-yard line, and boy, has he ever popped after he caught the ball. Coming over to do the coup de grace was Tony Scales, number 35. Someone's mouthpiece went flying in the air.
Yeah, sure was. Well, that David Brown that caught the ball that time, Tim. I couldn't see who the receiver was.
I couldn't tell you. The only way I'd be able to tell you is if we were fortunate enough to have it on replay. I'm not sure we do. Nonetheless, we do have it, and we'll have it for you momentarily. It's going to give the East squad a first down. Here we go. You'll see Williams drop back. And And I'm not sure who he connected with there. I'm still whoa, there you saw that.
No,
hit
that was number 30 or 20 something. But he was hit.
Not much happening in the middle of that line. That was a first down, by the way, on that pass reception for the East squad. They had no first downs in the first half and have had 5, 6, maybe 7 here in the second half. Coming back in the ball game was number 72, Rodney Davis. It's so easy to pick him up coming in and out of the game.
Well, the stadium slants a little as he goes on, Tim.
What a horse. There you see some of the emblems on the helmets that Danny Mitchell was alluding to. 8 minutes and 25 seconds. Pitch back comes and dragged down from behind. Ball carrier for the East squad was Eric Bates, number 24. And he was stopped in his tracks. It was like someone grabbed him and just wouldn't let go. And Bates was moving along real nicely and all of a sudden stopped dead.
Well, he's got 3rd and 9, Tim. So this is definitely a passing situation for the East squad. And of course, if you're on the West, you not only have to worry about the pass, you got to worry about the scrambling ability and the elusiveness of Eric Williams.
The West defensive squad has got to be feeling a little fatigue here in the fourth quarter. They've been on the field a lot here in the second half. Williams has time, gives direction downfield, throws it into a crowd, and it's over the intended receiver's head. Out on the pattern was Garrick Fitzgerald, who he had connected with earlier in the ballgame. And this time it was thrown over his head. You know, I was talking about that. The East squad came out and held the ball for the first 7 minutes of the second half. That's got to wear some of those big defensive linemen down.
It's bound to, Tim, and it's. But a lot of times you get out there and you get your emotion, that adrenaline starts flowing, and that score. Now you got pride as a factor. It's sometimes you can overcome that. Eric had Eric Williams looked a little further downfield. He found number 12 on the East was wide open, but it's easy for me to pick him up from up here.
Dietrich Downing is the punter for the East squad, and his punt will go out of bounds, and it'll roll with a nice East roll to it as it goes out of bounds on the West 25. So the West squad with a 1-point lead. We'll start from their 25.
And of course, going in for the West, they made a switch now. Gordon Wheeler will be the quarterback instead of Eric Smith.
They don't know if they're going to do it there or not, so we need to get the city council.
7 minutes and 19 seconds remain in the ball game. Tim Cole, Bob Hintz, and A.G. Womble here at Lynchburg City Stadium in Lynchburg, Virginia. The 42nd annual clash between the East and West, the best of the East and West All-Stars.
And there goes Lydell Scott, number 40 for that West team, Tim. He has just done an outstanding job, and I don't know if they pick an outstanding player or not, but him and for the West squad, either Lydell or Eric Smith, either one would get a nod.
Well, you know what they do? They have an all-star MVP from each side. So we'll hopefully be able to give that information to you. The West is called the Alger Pugh Award for MVP, and the East is the Norman Jenkins Award for the most valuable player.
Well, it's going to be tough on the West squad because they've got two outstanding athletes that have really shown the way. On the East squad right now, I got to take my hat off to Eric Williams, who has just done an excellent job, and knowing he's got to go all the way, and if he does get hit and he's shaking up a little bit, he's got to play. There's no other quarterback.
That's the tough situation. You're right. I feel confident that somewhere on the East squad there would be someone who played a quarterback position, but to play not having done so in maybe at least a year or two would be
well, and not even working with these with the center and all that too. It's got to be would be
no question. And as Danny Mitchell said, that injury occurred to the Dinwiddie quarterback yesterday. So I mean, they had no time to prepare for this. You know what I'm really enjoying seeing is hard hitting, good contact, and then after each one, the opposing players are high-fiving each other.
Yeah.
It's nice to see. You know, I'm
good
sure
respect on both teams, Tim. I don't mean to cut you off, but no. they respect each other. They know that both squads, the teams got here because they exemplified tremendous athletic ability all year long.
I would be curious at the amount of gamesmanship that's been going along this week too. I'm sure there's been a lot of pranks and good times had by all these athletes. Dropping back, Wheeler throws in the flat, connects with Monty George. Big gainer across midfield down to the 43-yard line of the East squad. That's Monty George on the receiving end of Gordon Wheeler's pass.
And that was the throwback that time, and the receiver did an excellent job of sidestepping the first defender, and because of that picked up another 10, 15 yards.
So they marked the ball just across the 44-yard line of the East. 5:17 to go in the ball game, and the West squad, of course, anxious to keep possession and wind that clock down. Wheeler fakes, then shovels it to Gordon. Check that 22 again is Monty George. A little shovel play. We saw that work effectively this past season.
And I'm trying to remember, there might have been the Fauquier team that was doing that when we went up there in that nice cool weather.
Yeah, that was a play that they used with great effectiveness, if my feeble memory serves me correctly. That little fake play where they kind of fake a handoff and the quarterback just kind of nonchalantly shovels it forward to his running back. And then before him, with his breakaway speed, this Monty George, of course, can really pick him up and move him. You catch the defense just a half stride off, and boy, you're gone. This is a straight handoff to Lydell Scott. Scott doesn't get much, maybe a yard or two.
Well, what they did also in that little shuffle pass, Tim, is they pull a guard, and that guy's got a blocker right out in front of him. It's almost like a sweep that doesn't look like a sweep because it's a shuffle pass. And of course, they got misdirection in the backfield too, so there's a lot of things going on that if you're not familiar with it, you would miss the subtleties.
Inside of 4 minutes to go now, 3:55, the clock moving. The West team content to keep the ball on the ground. Now, as I say that, they throw the ball because it was a 3rd down and 5, and they were looking for that 1st down. And Gordon Wheeler's pass was a little too tall. Wheeler's listed at 6 feet tall. That's got to be a misprint. He looks at least 3 or 4 inches taller than anybody on the field.
Yeah, he really does, Tim. Danny had said something before that if you're inside the 40 or something, you have to go for it. In this situation, I know that they want to give the ball up. If they can get a 1st down, then that means they can run more time off the clock, and it really puts a lot of pressure on the East squad.
Here's that last play. As you see, the pass was just a little too tall for the intended receiver as Wheeler let her rip with a 3rd and 5. And now it's 4th down and 5. And that does, that does create a different situation with a 4th down like this inside the 40. They do have to go for it. They can't try a field goal.
Well, they wouldn't try a field goal anyway, Tim. You're talking 60 yards.
Yeah. So why do they have that rule? I guess it should be anywhere inside the 30 for all practical purposes, I guess.
I don't know, Tim.
Who am I to question these things? These guys have been putting this on for 42 years.
Yeah, all we up here is for the first time. They just get a good shot at the scoreboard and the score with 3:44 to go.
Liberty Baptist College, Jerry Falwell's little university, is over to our right. Lynchburg's a very scenic little town or city, I guess you'd call it, to visit. What we've seen has been most enjoyable.
Well, we've got to see some things that we weren't planning to see, Tim. We took a little...
That's the tower at Liberty Baptist. I was going to say we've seen a little more than Lynchburg than we intended to see. We kind of took a couple of detours on the way to the hotel.
Ruth would appreciate that.
Pitch out goes to George. Here's a flag on the play. He's got...
Now, he is short of the 1st down.
Yeah, nowhere near the 1st down, and there is a flag on the play. So the clock stops with 3:35 to go. The East squad desperately needing to get the ball back if they want a chance to win this ball game. Unless it's a major penalty, I would assume, and it's an illegal procedure call, I would assume that the East squad will deny the penalty.
Oh, they don't want them to have the ball another time.
We're going to see the replay.
Well, we had it superimposed there for a second.
Here it comes. We don't see the penalty occur see good defensive effort on their pursuit has been superb on both teams tonight.
Boy, it really has. All these young men are excellently coached by the teams that they come from, and then you are very fortunate if you're the coach like Mike Smith is and be able to get some good athletes in here that you're getting one of the best athletes at that position.
So the East squad with 3.5 minutes to go, trailing by a point, starting from their 35-yard line. Williams at quarterback, as he has all game, has two receivers downfield. He connects, and he's got the ball. The East squad is at the 35.
And that was an excellent pass and catch by number 12 on the East, Tim.
30-yard pass and catch.
That's Maurice Miller, who is out of John Marshall, and had a good chance of almost breaking the tackle that time.
You know, he had two receivers, as we'll see on the replay. We got an injured player down, too. The injured player is from the West squad, I might add. The replay will show us that there were two intended receivers almost in the identical spot. Now, here we go. This is Williams setting up. He's got a nice setup motion. He whips it downfield, not quite that hard. But there were two red-shirted East players right there. If we can slow that down just a little bit, you'll see that they were almost stumbling over each other.
Well, and it looked like both of them were going for the ball. So that was an excellent concentration on that young man's play, the Miller's part. And a nice hand for these ball players. That's number 44.
Let's watch it now. We're going to see Williams throw it downfield. See, we got two East squad players, literally both of them going for the ball, as you said. And a good effort, as you mentioned, by Maurice Miller to make the grab and keep the East's chances alive as we're down to 3:15. The clock is moving, and the East squad trailing by 7-6. Right side carry by Brown of Phoebus High School. And now we have a flag come down as the first display of anger appeared to occur. A little jostling after the play.
And I can't believe that, that really going to hurt the East if it's against the East. It looked like a West player was clapping, so that's probably who was, and that really will infuriate a coach.
Pick up at 4 yards is probably going to be wiped out here as we're going to see a penalty, unsportsmanlike conduct, unnecessary roughness against the East.
And that's going to take the ball clear back to the 45-yard line, Tim.
We're going to have a replay on that. I don't know whether we'll pick up the incident. That's tough. See here, a little jostling. Number 66 for the East squad, tangling with one of the players from the West. Personal foul. Unsportsmanlike conduct. So the East squad hurt by that. First display of temper all night long. Everybody's been high-fiving it all night long, and I guess somebody did something that somebody didn't like in there and retaliated.
Well, something I was watching, Tim, as the official was giving the call of the penalty, the clock was running, which had Mike Smith known that, he would definitely been saying something.
It's still running.
Well, after the penalty, then he winds the clock, gets the clock running, but it was running before the official ever got done giving a penalty. And it's been a good 30 minutes, 30 seconds gone off of that clock.
Ball is at the 46 of the West. Throw the bomb in the corner, lots of contact.
And got to be a penalty on that call.
Now, who are they going to call it against, though? You know, that's going to be the interesting part of this. Who's going to have the determination as to who
instigated the contact? I believe it's going to go against the West squad because the East man was bumped, and then he was bumped a second time, and that's when the flag come in.
Good call. That's what they're going to do. They're going to call it. Now, this is where high school differs from college and pros. The interference call, if I remember my rules correctly, will be 15 yards from the line of scrimmage. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's 15 yards. They'll come back and mark off 15 yards, but it will not be a first down, I don't think. I don't know if it's an automatic first down or not.
I believe it is an automatic first down, but it is. We're going to have the replay here. We're going to see a lot of contact. There you go. We're going to see how much, because there was a tremendous amount of contact downfield. Oh, this is the play earlier. This was the pass reception that we had earlier.
And it is a first down, Tim, and it's an automatic first down.
Okay, so, and again, the difference, as I was mentioning, is that in many situations, like in pro ball, you get the ball where the infraction occurred. In high school ball, you get 15 yards from the line of scrimmage, regardless of how far downfield the contact might have been.
Well, it used to be that you didn't get the automatic first down either, Tim.
Williams scrambling, and he's going to get out of bounds, stopping the clock, and got pretty good yardage before he did step out. Clock stops with 2:04 to go. So a game that's been close from the very beginning continues to be just that. It's going to be right down to the last second, appears.
And he looked like he picked up about 7 yards that time, Tim.
Well, that's what they've indicated on the scoreboard. 2nd down and 3 as you see it.
Well, now, we don't have a field goal kicker that we are familiar with on the East squad. And they did have trouble with the snap on the extra point, so that would be the only other alternative if they can't get the ball in the end zone.
Well, I believe you have to go for it inside the 40 anyway, if I understand that rule correctly.
Well, but going for it is also a
is it a field goal? I don't know. Not much happening there inside of 2 minutes to go, so that play didn't really fool anybody. Ball carrier for the East squad on that play was Robert Dybala.
Well, he picked up maybe a yard on that play, Tim. So it's going to be 3rd and about 2. And you're at this point with 1:30 to go. You've got to have a little hurry up in there, and you got two downs to get that first down. Here's the instant replay on that.
Here's the pass interference call. We're going to see the contact that was made. Well, we're going to see the end of the play. We're not going to really see the contact, but there was definitely contact. Number 35 for the West made contact. This is Brown, right side. It looks like he's got the first down, trying to get out of bounds.
Well, the clock is stopped as they move the chains.
I'm not sure of the timeout situation for the East squad. I know they've taken at
well,
least
now there's
one.
a timeout being called by the official.
So we got a first down for the East.
The ball, it looks like it's on what, Tim, about the 14, 15?
Looks like they've marked it squarely on the 15-yard line. And timeout has been charged to the East squad as Mike Smith has stepped into the huddle. Something that you fans who have seen the high school games in the past year or two have noticed. The coaches come right out on the field, get right into the huddle.
One of the coaches can come out. Only one of them can come out, but now you're at the 15-yard line. And if you and I remember, we got a nice letter from the kicker from Hampton. Did you ever answer those questions?
No, only in my dreams. I couldn't start to tell you the answers to those questions.
But I don't know who the field goal kicker is. But we got first down. You're on a 15-yard line. You got 1 minute and 8 seconds to go. And you got a tremendous scrambling quarterback in Eric Williams. So the key here is if you don't get the completed pass, that the clock stops. If you run it, you try to run out of bounds, stop the clock. And of course, if you get a first down, the clock stops as they move the chains. So there's 3 situations where the clock will stop. And I know that Mike Smith, with 1 minute and 8 to go, they're going to put the ball in the air, Tim. Unless, of course, I've been wrong before.
Well, the big thing was, of course, that they got the first down. So, granted, they don't have a lot of time. At least they don't have to worry about getting that first down.
That's right.
Okay, so we've set it up for you. 1 minute and 8 to go. First down at the West 15. West crowd picking up the cheers and the encouragement as the West squad is asking them to do so. Moms and dads in front of us.
And we got the same thing going over on the east side, Tim.
Williams, short drop back. He's going to take the quarterback draw as he picks up a little more than 5. It looked like a good play. It looked like if it continued to go forward rather than laterally, he might have gotten some more yardage. Of course, it's wonderful up here because you can see all kinds of things.
We could see a much better view of the field than what Eric could. But that was an excellent call because you know they was looking for the pass as I was looking for the pass. And here's look like we may get it on instant replay, that it was a designed quarterback draw. As you see, Eric drops back, plants his right foot, and then just follows a linebacker or his blockers upfield. And then, of course, he went to the side to the left side and got to about the 9-yard line, Tim. So
looked like he thought he might be able to turn the corner, which was a good effort on his part. And with his quickness, there was a chance of that happening. Unfortunately, as you know, hindsight is always 20/20. It looked like if he'd gone straight ahead, he might have gotten more, but then he was running right into the teeth of the defenders.
Right, and he has had excellent success running outside and being able to elude the tacklers. So that was not a bad call. And of course, he was hoping as if he didn't get there, he could have stepped out of bounds and stopped the clock. Well, he got 49 seconds. The ball is on the 10-yard line, picked up 5 yards. He's got a 2nd and 5, 10 yards for first down. I'm sorry, check it, 10 yards for a touchdown. And this is really nice. Here we got 49 seconds, score 6-7. Nobody's going to leave. This is tremendous football.
Okay, we're going to take a brief timeout, and we'll return with the final 49 seconds after this message.
All right, we got a delegation here from Hampton. Gordon White, ex-football coach yourself. Gordon, what type game you expect tonight in all this heat?
Oh, I expect a good game, AG, because, you know, I've been here for the last 4 or 5 years, and it's been a real good game. Very competitive, and the athletes seem to get a lot out of it. The fans seem to get a lot out of it, and so I'm looking for the same thing this evening.
All right, Lowell Thomas, principal at Hampton, and you got a coach out here tonight. He's used to winning.
Always, and it's always a pleasure to come and watch Mike work. And I've been wanting to come to this game for several years. It's the first time I've had a chance to come up here, and I'm just happy to be here and see what it's all about.
Wymoth Williams and Sherwood Jones going to be representing the Crabbers tonight.
What better representatives could we have? And they're great.
Davis Middle School Principal David Pearson. David, your thoughts on the big game tonight?
Well, of course, I like football, and this game seems to be the highlight of the year for football players, and I'm pleased to know that we have a few ball players from our area who are going to be here tonight playing ball.
All right, you hear we have here the Hampton delegation, and we're going to need a lot of support tonight. Good luck to you guys tonight. Thanks a lot.
The message is you're watching Channel 29, WHCS. Outside, racing for the corner, going out of bounds. Good effort. That effort does 2 things. You get yardage and you stop the clock by going out of bounds. That was Scott Mahoney.
And Tim, that was a misdirection play. That was an excellent call by Mike Smith, and he picked up enough yardage for the first down. He got inside the 5.
One of the young fans shaking up on the sideline as he was run over by some of those big East and West high school players.
That's a young man that is our grip here at with WHCS that ran over. He's helping Jerome, what's on the sideline, pull the cord behind him, and he's shaking up just a hair, but he's tough.
Looks like he's okay, we're happy to say. So the clock stops with just 6 seconds run off the clock with that play. Getting out of bounds was Mahoney, and 43 seconds remains. It's 2nd down, and well, let me check that, 1st down and 3, they say. And then Brown is tossed out of bounds. I'm not sure of the down situation.
Well, that would have been the 2nd down, but I don't know exactly where they're spotting the ball, Tim. But he's inside the 5.
Brown, I think they're going to actually say he lost a little bit. They've spotted it back at about the 6 now.
He did lose some. I'm sorry. I didn't check that.
You don't see Brown thrown for a loss very often.
Well, when you run laterally, you got that problem of not being able to pick up any yardage. You got to go straight ahead because you and I know the shortest distance between 2-point straight line, but sometimes you can't do that.
2nd down and goal at the 7. Mix up in the backfield, and Mahoney is going to be tossed to the ground. And he did not get out of bounds, I don't believe.
Well, I know the West squad is really happy about that, Tim, but the runner ran into his own ball player that time. He was slowed down, and the time was thrown off when he ran into his own blocker. And now we got 18 seconds left to go. We're going to have to do something real quick, and now we got a timeout, which it probably is the East's last timeout.
You have to wonder why they would have taken quite that long to call the timeout. There was a good 12 seconds elapsed during that time.
And here we see the run. This is the run before that on. That's the one where he ran into number 63.
Yeah, that's Mahoney, who got tossed down to the ground and then rolled out of bounds.
Well, he's back clear at the 11-yard line, Tim. Yep. So they started inside the 5, and now they clear back to the 11. And boy, that's got to be a boost for the West squad. I look for a rollout with Eric Williams and a pass, and if that doesn't work, go for the field goal.
You got 2 downs. You're looking at 3rd and goal, and the ball is just outside the 10. So you're right. You know you're going to throw the ball at least one of those 2 times. You can't afford it because I believe that is the last of their timeouts.
Well, they're not even going to go for it, Tim. They're just going to go for the field goal from this point. And that's number 54 from the East squad in there to attempt it. And that's Dietrich Downing. And number 33, who is very, very important, Scott Wingfield, is the holder.
Ball is marked on the 18. It will be a 28-yard attempt. And the East squad frantically trying to get an 11th player on the field. Again, this is a problem when you have all-star game. Now a timeout is going to be called by the West squad. So that will be to the benefit of the East squad because it looks like they might not have had enough players on the field.
Well, they were one player short, Tim, and you know that there's a rule that you got to have 7 men on the line of scrimmage if you're the offensive unit.
So now Mike Smith will have an opportunity with the timeout being called by the West to go out and get his players all squared away as to who's supposed to be where. And, you know, again, on an all-star situation like this, when you've only been practicing for 8 or 9 days, a lot of players aren't used to being on the specialty team.
That's true.
They don't play that during the regular season.
Well, that's true to a certain extent. That most of your, especially high school, Tim, you're going to have your better athletes are going to be playing sometimes both ways, as we saw in the Peninsula District. But this has got to be a mind game with number 54 out there. He's tapping that foot down. I know he's trying to get his mindset that keep your head down, good follow through, and make good contact with the ball. Of course, number 33's got to handle the ball well from the snap from the center. But here's a situation that's not too dumb, because if something happens and there's a miscommunication or something, you got another chance to do it. Because you got 2 plays in 15 seconds.
So Dietrich Downing will be kicking out of the hole of Scott Wingfield. The chance to put the East ahead. The East led 6-0 after a 14-yard pass completion from Eric Williams to David Brown. Eric Williams of Kecoughtan, Brown of Phoebus. The extra point was no good, and that's why we're looking at a 1-point difference. The snap is good, the kick looks good, and it is perfect.
And I tell you what, you could tell it was good. Number 33 was jumping up and down before the ball ever got through the uprights, Tim. And that puts the pressure right back on the West. You're down 2, and you got 10 seconds. And I'm sure that Mike Smith is not going to do a long kickoff on that. And we got AG is going to go down to the field and try to get some interviews for a post game. But what a nice drive led by Eric Williams, who to me has got to be the MVP on the East. If I was picking, that's a good young man I would pick. And it's much more difficult on the East. Although David Brown did an excellent job of running that ball too. But here you had a young man that knew he had to play all 48 minutes tonight, Tim.
10 seconds remains in the ball game. The East squad having lost 5 of the last 6 encounters in this annual classic. And now a chance for the East squad to break that jinx if they can hold on here with just 10 seconds to go. Dietrich Downing, the burly number 54, will be the man kicking off.
And I don't know if he's going to kick it deep or not, Tim. Would think that he might kick a squibbler.
Either that or one of those little pop flies over the initial.
Well, we saw that happen in Hampton. That was one of the things that they did.
It's a short kick. It's fielded by one of the up men. 7 seconds, 6 seconds, 5 seconds. And now the clock stops with 4 seconds. And time for one last-ditch effort by the West squad. We're going to have the replay now for you on the field goal. Well, we didn't quite get it.
We got the end of it.
We're working on those bugs. We'll get. We didn't quite have it all there for you, but.
Well, I want to ask you something, Tim. Do you think that the East is going to be in a prevent defense? They're going to let anything be caught close, nothing deep. And they're throwing number 22 for the East is going clear back to about the 15-yard line.
William Wood is taking no chances here. There you see the story is 9-7. The East on top with time for one play. And I'm sure we'll see a Hail Mary. Now we see a stoppage of play.
Well, the clock took off, and that's the end of the game. Once they line up, they start to clock, Tim, so they didn't even get the play off.
I'll be darned. I would have thought the West had one more timeout, I guess.
Well, I thought they did too, but it was never called.
Here we go. Here's the field goal for you. This is the winning field goal as Dietrich Downing, number 54, out of the hole to Scott Coleman, puts it directly between the uprights. I mean, he made that thing with yardage to spare. He could have kicked that thing.
Well, I tell you, and my hat goes off to the young man because they called a timeout. They tried to freeze him, get him to think about it, but he did a good job of concentrating on what he had to do and just did an excellent job of keeping his head down and following through. And we don't see too many of the straight-on kickers like that anymore. More of them are the soccer-style kickers, and that was a straight-on kick, but there was no doubt, Tim, that thing was right down the center and plenty long enough. As you can see, this is a tremendous show of sportsmanship. The teams are meeting out in the field. They're shaking each other's hands. They're congratulating each other because they know they're all tremendous athletes, so they wouldn't be invited to this game.
And A.G. Womble is down there amidst that group somewhere. We're going to have some post-game interviews. A.G. will be talking with some selected players, and just as soon as he gets in a position to do so, we will have those interviews. So I hope you'll stay with us for just a moment. Again, we want to do something we haven't had an opportunity to do all night, and that is to thank all the fine folks here at City Stadium in Lynchburg for all of their cooperation. Our crew has been up here a couple of times this week, came up early Wednesday and set up and got everything squared away and did, as their usual, superb job. And we do want to thank the nice folks here at Lynchburg City Stadium for all of their help. And I understand that A.G. has got Weymouth Williams. Let's go down to the field now and A.G. Womble.
We got Weymouth Williams. Weymouth has to be happy with the turnout here the last few seconds of this game.
Yes, I am. Last year I came to the game and they beat us last year, so we had kind of like a revenge thing come on here. So they had us about like they beat us the last 2 years, so we had to come out and prove to the East.
How was it hitting out there tonight?
They're great. They have some excellent running backs. Lydell's great running back, and that boy Martin.
Crabber's going to miss you this year. I think you started the last 4 years. What are your future plans here, Weymouth?
I really don't know yet. I'm going to visit Liberty University up there Monday. Hopefully, see what chance up there.
Weymouth, great game.
Thank you, sir.
All right, good luck.
And they're right there. They're going to miss that young man. There was 4 years of at Hampton High School, and I like to see him go on to college and play. They probably. Sounds like, Tim, we're going to get a shot of the replay of the very first touchdown that was scored by the East tonight.
All right, and we'll describe that for you. This is Eric Williams over center. That's the Kecoughtan High School graduate. He's going to fake a couple of times. He's going to look to his right, scramble. He did a super job of eluding a couple of would-be tacklers there. He looks inside, thinks about going there, and then this move here absolutely froze everybody. Whoops, wait a minute, let's go back the other way.
And then he turns and he's running right towards a defender, Tim. He sees a defender come, stops, turns his shoulders, and spots David Brown wide open in the end zone. That was just an excellent.
All right, there we go. AG is with Eric Williams.
All right, we got Eric Williams. Eric, great game, quarterback, and you really showed your stuff tonight.
Thanks a lot.
What was the game plan going in?
Well, going in the game, we planned to pass the ball a lot, but during the second half, we had to go to our running game to open the pass up.
You aired it out a few times tonight.
Yeah, in the first quarter, I was throwing the ball I wasn't throwing the ball too well. At halftime, Coach talked to me. He said for me to rear back and throw the ball and just stop aiming the ball.
You showed him you could scramble a little bit there on a couple occasions.
Yeah, I'm basically a running quarterback, so when a big lineman comes in, I have to scramble a lot.
Great game, Eric Williams.
Thanks a lot.
Eric Williams.
I hope we get to hear who the MVPs are. I don't know if they're going to announce them over the loudspeaker or how they're picked or whatever, but I would like to be able to add my congratulations to those two. We're coming up with the West touchdown right now, Tim.
But I don't think this is the touchdown because their touchdown was Lydell Scott, but this is a play in the...
Oh, yeah, this was the first quarter where the young man took it clear down inside the 5 or close to the 10-yard line. And he didn't quite get in, but it set up the touchdown. That was number 72 from the East finally catching him. Had he not caught him, he'd have got in. But that did set up the touchdown, and, of course, they scored the extra point, went ahead 7-6.
Yeah, Lydell Scott, of course, did score from a yard out with just 2 seconds gone into the fourth quarter. And it looked pretty good for the West squad at that point, as they did convert on the extra point, making it 7-6. And the East squad had to tighten up and play a little better defense, and they were able to do so and got the ball back. And then a fine drive. The East squad, you got to remember, this East squad was held to minus 18 yards in the first half. No first downs and minus 18 yards. So they certainly put together an effort in the second half that was excellent. And we got AG, and he's downfield now with Sherwood Jones.
All right. Sherwood, great game. Your thought?
Yes, it was a great game. We was kind of shocked on West sides, but I think we came out on top pretty good with our quickness.
That Diedrich came through there the last 12 seconds.
Yes, he shot me with that field goal. I am so happy. I don't know what to do. And I like to take my hat off for him. He's a good guy. He's a good ball player for his size.
A lot of great sportsmanship out here on both sides tonight.
Oh, well, that started from, Thursday until now. A lot of people had a few words to say to each other, but we solved it on the field. We just did that to try to intimidate people.
Look forward to Wake Forest this fall?
Yes, indeed. I can't wait until I get down there.
What position they're going to have you playing, do you know?
Inside linebacker.
Sherwood, great career at the Crabbers and great game tonight.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Sherwood Jones.
All right, AG, thank you. And I understand that we've got the replay of the West touchdown. Lydell Scott, TV. There you go from our ground camera. He went off the right guard, between right guard and right tackle, and you can see the jubilant line there for the West squad as they celebrated that.
Petey Whitfield.
That and made it 7-6 on the. You may be able to hear in the background Petey Whitfield's name as I think A.G. Womble, our roving reporter tonight, without any cheerleaders interview, he's interviewing football players.
Well, that's nice to hear.
Petey, tough defensive battle out there tonight.
Yes, sir. Yes, it was.
All right, what do you think was the difference tonight?
Who wanted it the most? All week we staying together at the same campus, and the West was kind of talking a little bit trash, and we were talking back. So it came out here whoever wanted it the most, and I guess we wanted it more.
All right, Winston-Salem this fall. What are your thoughts about going down there?
I had good thoughts of going there. When I went to visit, they treated me nice. That's why I picked the school.
What position they going to have you playing, Petey?
Tight end.
Petey, great career at Phoebus, and good luck to you down there.
All right, thank you.
All right, AG, we appreciate that, and it's really nice to see these representatives from the peninsula playing in this all-star game and having a chance to talk with these fellas. One of the things I could just see this, and you could too all week long, the East squad and the West squad.
They're just jawing at each other.
I guarantee you they had some razzing and some ranking on those guys during the whole week. It has been here for a week long. There was some mind games being played.
Well, it really was, and I like what Sherwood said, that he said we were a little shocked at the size of the West. They are a big, big team, but quickness did overcome, and sometimes quickness will beat size. And I hope that there's a good shot of Gordon, the assistant. Gordon White as assistant principal, and
we got
Lowell
Mike
Thomas.
Smith down there. Here we go down to AG and head coach Mike Smith.
Mike, what was the difference tonight?
I really think probably the difference in the ball game was Eric Williams' ability to make a big play out of busted plays. I thought, and David Brown had a great game too, but I thought on both teams tonight the guy that was the game breaker was Eric Williams. He made plays on some passes and runs that set things up that we could never done.
We talked to him earlier. He said you talked to him about a few adjustments at halftime that seemed to work well on his passing game.
Well, we were putting him in a bind. We were trying to throw deep, and they were rushing him a little bit early. But the big thing we want to do is get him back off where we can start throwing underneath on him. But he really throws well on the move. He scrambled well and came back and did a great job. And really, really proud of all the kids off the peninsula, out of the Peninsula District. They all had great games. I thought Petey and Whitfield and David Brown and
Weymouth.
Weymouth had a great game. Sherwood had one. Of course, Eric.
Great coaching too.
No, I don't know so much about that. And Ron Lassiter and Steve Ainsworth from Lafayette, they were just all, I think, did the Peninsula.
Dietrich Downing, even though he wasn't from the Peninsula, he did well tonight.
Well, I think he's making amends for the extra point. But he did a great job because Dietrich was like 205 pounds. The guy playing in front of him was 315 pounds, and he handled him pretty well.
Mike, great game tonight and great week here heading up to all the All-Star games.
Well, you know, it's a great time for coaches and the people of the state of Virginia, you know, and maybe a lot of people see this and might want to come out and watch the game. I thought it was just outstanding football.
Great game, Mike. Coach Mike Smith.
All right, AG, thank you. And, boy, he's had a good time. Here's the final play, our replay for you. This is the winning points being scored by Dietrich Downing. Big 54, 5'11", 210-pounder. Out of the hole to Coleman. Snap was perfect, and I mean, he drilled that shot right between the uprights.
And they knew it was in, Tim, before the ball ever got to the uprights, that they were, the holder and the kicker were both jumping up and down. I hope AG can get up with David Brown. David did an excellent job. He's going to the University of Virginia in the fall. He's had an exceptional time at Phoebus High School, not only athletically, but also scholastically. He graduated with 3.5.
Well, I understand that I understand we're having some difficulty with AG having a chance to talk with David Brown, and we'd like to have had a chance to talk with the young boys from Lafayette High School as well. I understand that AG is still trying to find David Brown. He might be out there. Everyone's kind of standing around here more or less waiting. I'm not sure who elects the outstanding MVPs for each squad.
If I'm not mistaken, it's from the coaches on the players, Tim, and I don't mean necessarily the coaches on the sideline, but the coaches in the stands also. That's the way we used to do it when I was coach of basketball at the when we have a Peninsula District. The coaches would vote, but you couldn't vote for your player. So I don't know how it's done here, but it would be interesting to know. But the people up in the press box have gone, so we're not going to hear it from there.
Well, I understand that AG has used his resources to find David Brown.
David, with all these outstanding All-Stars, has to be a pleasure to be the voted most valuable player tonight.
Yes, sir. It feels great, but it was a total team effort, and couldn't have done it without my teammates.
That touchdown play appeared to be a little bit of a broken play there.
Yes, sir. It was originally a play-action pass, and I was just a decoy man. And Eric Williams, quarterback from Kickintown, couldn't find his primary receiver, and he's an excellent scrambler. So I went to open seam in the end zone, started waving my hands to get his attention, and he found me. And luckily, he's about.
You're going to University of Virginia this fall. What are your thoughts about going up there, David?
I really don't know. I'm just looking forward to going out and trying my best.
What position are they going to have you playing?
Tailback.
Great career at Phoebus, David. Great game tonight, and congratulations. Good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Good job. David Brown, most valuable player. Thank you.
So AG got the scoop on us here. He got the MVP for the East squad.
Well, you notice how good a job he does when he doesn't have the cheerleaders. It takes his mind off of the ball game. I'm just teasing AG. Does an excellent job, and that's a hard thing to do down there, running around trying to find people to interview and talk after a ball game, and he just does an excellent job. We're very fortunate that we have a tremendous staff that can follow him around and get these interviews for us.
Well, I would assume with that having been done and said, I believe we're about ready to wrap it up, as our director, Scotty Bowers, has done his superb job as usual, and all of our staff. You're going to see some names coming up here. These folks have worked out here long and hard in very hot weather this afternoon. Not these guys. These guys came up here and just walked in and started talking.
There you go. Angela.
There's the people that really...
Louis Bruno and Jerome Young.
Thank you.
Doris Penn, who is a new addition to us. We appreciate having her up here tonight. Alvina Jones is the clerical assistant. Didn't come up. She's down there in down back in Hampton. And of course our director Scotty.
Michael Green, technical assistant. Yeah, that's what I said. Michael was the one that took the real bruise. He got knocked down there. Well, that's our key man down there. Angela Brown and Louis Bruno, Dr. Sam Still, and Bev Thaxton Penn for their efforts on the instant replay. That was a great job. First time they've ever worked with this, and Dr. Sam did a great job. And you know, the first couple of games we did years ago, you and I were talking about how many years we've been doing this. It's hard to believe it's been years. There you go. See as we wrap it up, there's your final score and the final touchdown, or rather the final score on a field goal, 28-yarder by Dietrich Downing. And for the entire crew, You and I walk in and do the job. It's so easy.
It's so easy. You're right there.
All right. Our final score, the East Squad revenges last year's loss by the score of 9-7. From Lynchburg Stadium for Tim Cole and Bob Hintz and A.G. Womble, thanks for watching, everybody. Good evening.